Yo, how's it going, folks? Yeah, YouTube is having insane problems. It took me like almost 40 minutes just to go live. I've been trying to go live since 8 o'clock. It's I almost gave up, to be honest. It's almost like 8:40 at the moment over here. But we're live. We are live, which is good. How are we all doing in this amazing heat wave? Hashtag no helix? What do you mean no helix? Why don't you want a helix? It's only going to cost you like, £10,000. Not a fan of that? Hey, Shinzo, Sanchez, Bullets, how's it going, folks? Ooh. What's happened here? Oh, wow, they removed it. I know you guys can see all sorts of things at the moment, but they removed it. Interesting. Oh, God, it is really warm. Jinzo? Hey, look, it's YouTube, man. What can I do? I can't be the only problem having issues with YouTube. I'm guessing their servers are melting in this heat, wherever they are. But how are we all doing, folks? England are playing today. That is right. We are super excited for that one. Can we all thank Valve for giving Helix a layup? Dude, I did not expect the Steam machine to be that expensive. I was actually really going to buy one. I like tinkering with gadgets, but that priced itself just out of my reach. There's no way. I can't justify that. So my idea was that I was going to pick that up and then give it to my son. But you can build a much better PC for that price. And the worst part of the Steam machine is that it's not upgradable. So yeah, they really screwed the pooch with that one. They really did. Yeah, I don't even think they're gonna bother with it. They're saying they're gonna buy it. I don't, I don't see it. It's all cost cutting, Negan. It is all cost cutting. Everything about that machine. And do you know what's the worst part? It's the fact that it's so small. That's why it's so expensive. It's the form factor that's making it so expensive. They've crammed so much into so little. It's crazy. But man, I'm going to start off with something like slightly different today. So earlier today over at Twitch, we were streaming some indie games and we tried that Tanuki game. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but I'm just going to bring up the trailer for it. I was so excited for this when I saw it back in the day. And I don't know. I'm a little conflicted with how I feel about it after trying the demo because it wasn't what I was expecting it to be, if that makes sense. I think Tanuki game. I'm gonna call that Summer Pond, maybe. Yeah, there it is. There it is. In fact, it was actually announced. No, it wasn't announced at the IGN 2026. That's rubbish. It was announced 1 year ago. There we go. I'm going to show you the trailer, right? If it loads, because YouTube is being really weird at the moment.
Is a tanuki. This summer, by order of the tanuki god, Pon has to restore the great tanuki shrine. To do so, he needs to earn money.
Yeah, YouTube is really fucked at the moment. I don't even know if we're going to be able to watch any videos. But this actually was a really cool looking game on the thing, and I'm really disappointed in what it's actually become. But I also kind of found it really kind of therapeutic. I kind of really enjoyed. Yeah, it's not going to play the video. I don't know what the hell's wrong with it. YouTube is just completely and utterly down. But another game that I saw that I tried out today was the Sinking City 2. And that is really good. I recommend you all check out the trailer for that. It's a solid game. Hey, Steve, how's it going? How would the Stream Machine play a console game? It can't. Digging a bit deeper into the story out of curiosity, I found Ever Studio was in trouble as far back as 6 months ago as it suffered mass layoffs shortly afterwards. Yeah, they're gone. They're bankrupt. We'll cover that story in a little bit, but they're gone. Why not just buy a Rogdex and dock it? I mean, that's what I've got my Rogex here, but I'm not going to give that to my 11-year-old, right? Yeah, Madang was it was dead a little while ago, Rabbi. You see creatures, so skip. Nah, that game is good. It reminds me. I think gaming summed it up perfectly when he said it's like a mix between Indiana Jones and Silent Hill. It really has that vibe. The only thing missing is the whip, but everything else is there. Yeah, that's not happening, Rabbi. Helix will be cheaper than Steam Machine. I predicted Asher might took the chance. Well, what we're gonna see is at the moment with Helix, we don't know what they're doing with it because Matt B already said that they're reevaluating all the specs of the Helix with a cost cutting notion. Now, there is this thing. Where is it? I saw it over here. Now, it looks like they might be pushing into this, right? They might be pushing into Xbox All Access again, which I think is still available anyway. But I don't know. I just don't like going into debt to get stuff. And people generally go into debt because they can't afford to buy something. They might be able to afford monthly payments, but just be careful, man. If this is what next generation gaming is becoming, I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of it. Because Because they're trying to save money right now, Rebby. All right, Rebby, whatever you want to believe. Helix looks good at that £1,500 price point with its specs. Yeah, but no one's going to buy it at that price point. That's the problem. At $1,500, no one's going to buy it. Yes, I did gaming just before I went live. That's a good price. I'll pick it up for that price unloaded. The second game started off really, really well. Amazing. So I'm really excited to play the first one. But, you know, they've put like a whole list of stuff here on how to push it through, what they believe is a good price point. Now, as someone who's been in debt before and it didn't end up well for them, I'm now debt-free personally, but it's taken a long time to get there. I just wouldn't recommend anyone go into debt, especially over video games. Yeah, but you got money growing on trees, so of course you're going to buy it. But it's not going to sell the numbers that they want it to sell. Yeah, it's not. The PS6 isn't gonna it's not gonna be 600. It's not going to be $600. Like, these next generation consoles are gonna be around $1,000 at the bare minimum. And it's crazy, crazy pricing. 1,500 is unsubsidized for Valve. I know. They've decided that they're not gonna. So what Valve said was, we're not gonna subsidize it because it's a PC, and we know that it's a Steam machine and it's got our OS installed, and the average person isn't going to install Windows, and all they're going to do is buy games from us. But it's a PC, so they do have the choice of installing other storefronts, which means they won't buy games from us. I mean, it's all rubbish, right? The average person out there won't buy anything else outside of Steam. We know this. Statistics have proven this. So it's all rubbish for them to just release it at the unsubsidized price. They can say what they want. I mean, everyone can see through the bullcrap. But you know what? It's a choice. They made that choice to release it at that price. So they clearly don't expect it to sell much. What they're saying is, it's a choice. It's an option for people if they want to get into PC gaming. But do you know what else can get into PC gaming at £800? One of these, right? One of these can get you into PC gaming. Dock it up, put it onto your TV, and off you go. Easy as pie. Helix $600. Will it into existence? You're British. You have the power. No. As much as I want it to be, I can't see it. I realistically cannot see it. Valve was never going to subsidize it ever, but they could, because they're locking you into what they're technically locking you into their ecosystem, right? So they could. I don't know, anything above like 900, and it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people. Can I do an 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock stream on Friday? Probably not. I'll see how I feel and how tired I am, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Nope. Buy outright, says Steve. But I'm lucky enough to do so with any purchase. Some people ain't got the choice. Choices are always good choices are always good, but still advise against on both sides. People getting into debt, corpo possibly getting screwed by people not paying their debts. Exactly. I know there's completely broken over there, but it's basically what I've been saying. These companies that are selling it to you and putting you into debt, they're hoping you're going to fault on your purchase, and then they'll immediately request it back. You're willing? Man, I've been willing Assassin's Creed games to be £500 each for so long. It's just never worked. Honestly, I think they would if the cost of living wasn't so bad. But the cost of living right now is all up in the air. So outside of those that are wealthy and have a lot of money, I don't see a lot of, or those people that are really saving. Like I've been putting money aside for the Helix and PS6 for a little while now. I've got a little nest egg. I don't touch it. I just put a little bit of money in there every month. And when they release, hopefully it'll be enough. And if it's not, it should only require me to top it up a little bit for me to get it. Most people don't do that. They're not as disciplined, or they don't really want to do that. But that's how I've been doing it for the last 2 generations now. And it's worked out okay for me. So that's what I'm doing again this time. So hopefully it won't hit me that bad. But I can see a lot of people just saying no. Rabbi, we will see. If I miss it, you can still watch it. GTA has demanding graphics, right? People will want to upgrade. But will GTA 6 console be at 30 FPS? Or have a performance mode? Honestly, it really depends how much it really depends how much they want to degrade it. I'm still saying that they're going to delay the game, right? I'm still saying that GTA 6 is going to get delayed, and that the reason the pre-orders have actually gone up, or I think the pre-orders have gone up now, is for investors to see how much true demand there is for the game. They've put down like $2.5 billion into this game. That's with like the whole total cost that the investors are. And the investors at some point want to see that they're getting a return. And I think the game probably needs a bit more money. So the investors probably turned around and said, look, we need to see if there's this much of a demand for this game. And so they put the pre-orders up. They've taken the release date off. So I can see it getting delayed. I can see it getting delayed. GTA 6 is going to be a financial failure, and the next Xbox 6. I'm not saying it is going to be delayed, but there's no reason for them to remove the release date off the actual website, right? That's sus. I'll tell you what will be the biggest kick in the balls, though, if they change the release date and say, right, we're releasing it in September. Oh, mate, can you imagine all the other gaming studios? Oh, no. That would, oh, God. I'm going to tell Philip to send me a pro. You know what? He probably would. With how much you've invested into Xbox. I mean, the upscaling thing could work, but you have to lose something, and you're going to lose resolution, right? Xbox Helix will cost $360. Don't be daft. But yeah, so they're already talking about different ways that they're going to, fund the next Helix console, which is, it is a choice. But all I'm going to say is, if you don't trust yourself financially, it ain't worth it. Rabbi, I will have a look. We're going to cover some of it in today's stream. And if it's worthwhile making a video on it, I will. But do you guys remember this? Wow, this is going to F the next Xbox up. The controller is 100% real. I have known about it for a week. This is my first look at the box, though. I'm sorry to say, but most would rather have a Steam machine. Yeah, that aged well, didn't it? That aged well, didn't it? That one did age well. Upscaling is the worst thing to happen in gaming sphere. It's done nothing but lead to piss poor lazy optimization. Yeah, the optimization is it's a big problem at the moment because it's been really, really, horrid. Like, why is this not working? Is there a problem with Microsoft servers as well? Interesting. Power Boss, you negative? Why I say that? It's not going to be anything less than $1,000. Maybe, but that means it's going to be under £1,000 for us here in the UK. Remember, stuff that sells for $1,000 there without tax is selling for around 800 over here, and so $800 is, I think, feasible enough, maybe, to try and get some traction moving. 600 would be a lot better, but I don't see them being 600. No company right now is going to subsidize to that degree. I just don't see it. But I think it'll probably be £749.99 or £800 here in the UK if they are changing the specs. If they're not, then you're looking about £999.99 at the very minimum here, if they're going with the original specs that they have, because they're quite high. They're not low specs. I mean, they're not crazy high, but they're high. You think they put out more powerful machines at $1,000? If next gen are closer to 47, Bruno, they don't have actual graphics cards in them. They're not dedicated graphics cards. You're pricing it compared to a dedicated graphics card. That's not how it works. Yeah, we had a storm as well around here, pal, last night. It was all I heard was my cat's like really terrified around the kitchen. They're standing by the window, right? They're sitting by the window, watching the lightning and crying at the lightning while they were watching it. And I'm like, how about you come round here where the TV is on and you won't hear it as much? No. $3 billion. I want it to be made from pure platinum meteorite with 4 RTX 8000 Pros, SLI linked with 2 NVIDIAs, BLLC. Jesus. All that and you won't send me a 5090? Jesus. And I thought we were friends. Hell, I'd say you keep the 5090 because you love it so much. It's like your favorite graphics card, right? I was without power from 3 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Ouch. I have a wall of that got fried as well. Oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. They're going to be using all the AI hardware they bought from the. I mean, they're obviously going to be doing whatever they need to do to try and keep the cost low. Whether it's going to be utilizing AI, whether they're going to be utilizing whatever technology in the hardware. But like I said, the cost of living has gone up. Salaries haven't really gone up to match the cost of living, which is why, the public is struggling. And on top of that, everything else is just skyrocketing. So spending £1,500 on a console just isn't worth it. And I just don't see it worthwhile. I mean, maybe if they announce that they're removing the need to pay for Xbox Live, might soften the blow for some people. So for those that don't use Game Pass at all. But I don't see them even reducing the price on Game Pass, even if they removed Xbox Live anyway. So maybe it'll, help a subsect of the community if they decided to go down that route. But it's going to be an interesting time. But the one thing I do know is that the Steam machine at that price, that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I saw the price and I had to look at it again and again and again. Are you just joking there, Negan? Or is that like some kind of dark humor? But yeah, the Steam machine in the UK is £879. It comes with a 512 gigabyte drive. Doesn't come with a controller. I will say that they are knocking some money off the controller if you do get it with as a bundle. I think you get like 20, maybe 30 quid off. But that's just ludicrous. That's ludicrous. So this should have been $399, $349.99. This should have been, I'd say, somewhere in the region of either $4.99 or $5.99, and then with the controller at max $649.99. So that's the pricing that I would have expected this to come out at based on the specs that we have here. Obviously, we're living in a weird time, but these companies can subsidize, and that's why I think they're just being greedy. I don't think they should delay it, Steve. The price is just going to go up every year, and it's just going to get more and more expensive. And additionally, they've already done their R&D, right? They've already got their specs. I know Xbox is reevaluating their specs right now, but they've already got their specs. They've already done the R&D. All of that will technically go to a waste because they have to basically look at new hardware. They're not going to keep the current hardware and delay it. It'll be out of date. Like, it will be a dinosaur before it comes out, right? Or, we'll be picking out fossils from the box by the time it comes out in 2030. Negan is a space traveler? I see. Well, I hope it's nothing serious, Negan. But yeah, I just can't. Like, I really want. I would have picked up this one at the very least at $399. I can't justify that, man. Why can't they ramp up production component? Number one, the infrastructure can't handle it. But number two, even if it could handle it, they don't want to increase the production because they're selling it for more. They're making more money now with the stuff being scarce than they are previously. So it works for these companies to have the supply being really low and the demand really high, because then they can dictate whatever price they want. Why are you thinking Valve need to subsidize Steam machines? No, I said they could have subsidized it. They can do what they want. I'm saying they could have subsidized it. But this is just going to go the way of the dodo, like the first Steam machine at those prices. Realistically, for £1,000, you can build a similar PC to this spec, right? You can plug it underneath your TV and off you go. At the price that they want for this one, for £100 more, I've seen shuttle PCs that are really, custom designed that shit on these specs already. And that's just for an extra £100. So the reason why this is so expensive is the form factor. If this was bigger, I do believe that if they could use normal components in here, it probably would have been cheaper. We can sit around and complain, or we can buy these things and stay up all night. This is the thing. I don't need this. Anyone that has a PC that is remotely decent doesn't need this at all. Like, you literally do not need this. You can plug your PC into your TV and off you go. You're done. All of those Steam bros that said, oh my God, this is like the next thing, they don't need this. Because they can plug their Linux PC or their whatever they're using that has a Steam OS into their TV, and off you go. It's, Steam OS is just Steam OS. You can install it into anything. Okay, you're just trolling now, Bruno. And that is bad. That is bad of you. It's for YouTubers and gamers with money to burn. Yeah, I'm not burning any money on a cake. Like I said, my son's 200. I bought my son one of those little NUC PCs for £220. It was, and the specs aren't far from this. It's it plays what he wants, and he's perfectly happy with it. What I wanted to do was provide him with something that that was a little bit more of an upgrade, to what he has, and but not at those prices. Like, not at those prices. Yeah, Bruno likes that 720p gaming. I think Valve has come out saying that they're disappointed as well, right? At least that's what I read somewhere as a headline. It could be false, but I don't know. I just don't know, Captain. But yeah. Hey man, Gabe just bought a $70.2 million house, summer house. He needs the extra money to fund his next yacht. So, like, don't feel sorry for Gabe. He needs the money. Rich man things, right? I'm joking, but I find it hilarious. It's not needed, but it does have a few console-like quality of life that are not available. on traditional PCs, for example. Valve customarily made that work with HDMI 2.0. I mean, yeah. But you're going to pay £1,000 to watch movies on this when your TV does it anyway? I mean, I can't imagine how many people out there today don't own a smart TV when you can get one for £100 now. It's just an overall weak machine, and the specs don't justify it. I personally think that they were so far along that they just couldn't hold it. I think they actually, considering, I think they actually had everything built, shipped, the works. I think if Valve had the choice or the opportunity to delay this, I think they 100% would have. But, and, went back and redone the specs and everything else and just waited until the economy got a little better. But I think they were too far gone into it. And I don't think they really had a choice. They just had to go with it. And then they released that statement that they don't care how many they sell. They absolutely do care. You don't build something like this and not care if you don't sell any. Because if you didn't care how many you'd sell, well, why put it at £1,200? Why not make that £650? You don't care, right? So money clearly isn't an option, an issue for you. It doesn't add up, right? 70 mil house to go with a 500 mil yacht. That's what I'm talking about, cake. How does the Steam machine compare with the Series S? I don't know. I know there's some videos around that showcase the Steam machine's performance. I haven't seen any, but I've seen a couple of people on my Discord talking about it. Does Digital Foundry go into detail? I know Linus did, but he started kind of. I watched like a 30-second clip, and it already pissed me off with just how much he wanted to hate the machine in that 30 seconds. So I was kind of not interested in his video. Look, if the machine is bad, it's bad. If the machine is good, great. If the specs are piss poor and it's not doing what you want, whatever. It's, the facts are the facts. But when someone kind of has to force themselves to go in and start hating on it within, I don't like that sort of thing. It beats the Series S, probably just because of the memory, right? The memory alone gives it a leg up. The 16 gigabyte of memory. Hey, Sinceres, how's it going, buddy? Is it the Series S? No, that's what I said, Vin. You're agreeing with me. I think they couldn't hold it back anymore. I think if it wasn't manufactured, they probably would have. But I also think they shot themselves in the foot by having that small form factor. I think if this was like maybe 2 or 3 times bigger, and they could fit like at least an ATX, proper ATX in there, then I think their prices would have been a lot cheaper. But as you know, when you start getting into anything that's tiny, the prices go up. It just becomes more expensive. So I think the form factor probably added like an extra $200, $250 onto that price. It is cheaper. So, Sin, what you're saying is Bruce Lee's never getting unfrozen. You know, I've watched a few like posts and read a few articles. No one's really commenting on the form factor, but that form factor is small. From what I've read, it's only 2 times bigger than a GameCube, right? It's a small box, and the smaller it is, the more expensive it gets. And I think the biggest issue here is, right, and I think Steve kind of touched on it just now. Why pay £1,200? And I just saw Shuhei Yoshida say he just pre-ordered it for the Steam machine, and good for him, right? He bought it, but why buy this when you can buy a PC for around the same price with better specs that you can later upgrade at will based on your own budget? Now, I did see people turn around on X saying, "Oh, but if you buy the Steam machine, you don't have to worry about drivers this and drivers that." Mate, you hardly ever install drivers. You barely touch anything. I can't remember the last time I installed drivers outside of NVIDIA, and I installed that like once every 2 months, 3 months. That could also just easily be streamlined if you really wanted to. It's not hard. But it's the lack of upgradability that really, for me, kills this off. I don't think these machines should be that expensive. It's half an X. Yeah, it's small. I saw a pre-built 1970 for like, yeah, I've seen it for like 1,200 here. Valve is buying components at scale, so why is it so easy for individual to build a more powerful device for a lower cost? That's a good question. I mean, Steve has been saying this for a while, and you know, I normally glaze over it, but he's right, just like you are. Look, that's the only time I'm going to agree with you, okay, Steve? Just this once. It won't happen again. Valve is literally everything updates. Drivers are included. I'm sure these vids of people already making better PCs at that price. Mate, that's just going to be silly. That's dumb. I didn't understand that when the PS5 Pro came out, and I'm not going to understand it here. Like, everyone went mental about it back in the PS5 Pro days, and I never understood it. I did not make a single video. I saw so many people capitalizing off it, whether it was Destin or whoever. Yeah, I just found that so stupid. I just could not do it. But good luck to those that do make that sort of content. Yo, Byron, how's it going? So you ain't going to agree you're a cool guy and have a great channel? Wait, what? That is literally a dirty Uno reverse right there. That is a dirty Uno reverse right there. Now we've just been talking about the Steam machine for the most part. Does Digital Foundry has it? Does Digital Foundry actually have anything good to say about this? I've seen Reforge saying that it's a disaster. Anyway, Steve, everyone knows I've not been the cool dude this past week, so I can't agree with you on that one. I'll walk into that rake straight myself. How long is Gamers Nexus's video? To be fair, I kind of haven't watched Digital Foundry ever since they went back on. Mate, it's a 1 hour video. I'm not watching an hour video from Gamers Nexus. I'm just not doing that. Yeah, I'm not watching an hour video. We can do something else. There's a guy called Dave 2D. He's got 3.69 million subscribers. Has anyone heard of him? This is literally the first time I've heard of this Dave 2D. He's got a Steam Machine review and he says bad news. Digital Foundry's one is like 32 minutes as well. At least this guy's is 13 minutes and 37. He is good? Okay, let's check him out. I've never heard of this guy. I don't know if it's going to play because YouTube has been really, really messing up as of late. So I'm hoping it's going to play. I can't guarantee it's going to play. So we can only try. And if it doesn't, then yeah. But like I said, even today, just to get online, it took me like 40 minutes. I still don't see the actual... If I go to my YouTube channel, I don't actually see the stream that I'm live with right now. It's not even updating. That's how bad it's gotten with whatever's happening with YouTube at the moment. ETA I do like. ETA is a good one. I really like ETA. When it plays Cyberpunk at low settings with low RT at 15 FPS, it's obvious where it sits on this. Next gen consoles will be expensive. Well, it's all right. Steve said he's going to buy me my next gen console. I can invest my savings elsewhere, maybe into a graphics card. Steve's such a nice guy. You only got the alert 2 minutes ago? Yeah, they're having severe problems tonight. I don't know what it is. Like, honestly, I almost quit. But I was trying to go live with StreamYard because at least that will still pull through from the YouTube API. Every time I clicked on going live, it was saying no, and errors occurred, and errors occurred. And on the final attempt that I made, it finally went through. And that's when I said, you know what? We're good. Let's go. So the moral of the story, I'm usually a few minutes late, but on this occasion, it wasn't my fault. Helix ain't no $700. Of course it's not. Anyone thinking Helix is going to be $700 is not thinking right. Kel, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the TOA, even gacha content creators. They can't clear it full stars. It's causing them severe problems with basic characters. You kind of need the model team made for it. Nope. I have fine deal with the other guy. He's getting me 160 million super yacht. I'm getting him an Xbox. Papers have been drawn up, signatures forged. Nah. What you should do, Steve, is get me that Steam machine. That's what you need. I'm still hoping that at least here in the UK, I don't know what that will translate to in the US, but in the UK, I'm hoping for anywhere between £800 to £1,000. I know the Helix, when it launched, I mean, not the Helix, the Asus ROG LIX, it launched at £800. And I know it was with tax over $1,000 in the US. So I'm still hoping that it's going to be somewhat on that level for us in the UK. Anyway, let's see what he has to say.
Announced it last November. I've been so excited for this to come out because I love small form factor gaming systems.
And
I've built many of them over the years, but they've never been able to do what this machine does. The Steam machine delivers an amazing gaming desktop experience as well as an amazing console experience, and something that I don't think any other system can pull off. So even the way you would boot it up,
I'll
you
take
pick
a
up the controller, hit a
58,
button on
Steve.
it,
I'm
and the
not
machine wakes
complaining.
up. It'll automatically turn on a TV. It'll switch the TV to the right input. And then within seconds, your Steam library is on screen, ready to play. And it's got a very intuitive UI. There's no Windows 11 slop. And it's all run off a small, quiet cube that is powerful enough to play basically every game. It's powered by a...
Wait, someone told me that this guy isn't biased. He's already biased. He already hates Windows. He already is biased. He already hates Windows. That's all. I mean, he's already biased. I thought you guys said that this guy wasn't biased. Hey, Bolduffer, how's it going? Hey, Grey Fox. They de facto hate all things Microsoft. It's like, I'm not biased, but Microsoft.
A semi-custom AMD chip. It's got 16 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of VRAM. Now, by default, games on the Steam machine are set to run at 1080p, and at that resolution, games run well. They feel smooth and frame rates are good. Valve claimed it would be about 6 times faster than a Steam Deck, and from my testing, that is fair. I am getting roughly 5 to 6 times the performance of the Steam Deck. Now, you can always increase resolution and pump up graphics settings depending on what you're trying to target, but out of the box, this thing delivers 60 frames per second or more for every single game that I tried, and that's without adjusting any settings. Now, back in November...
You see that? 60 FPS on any game he tried, which I'm assuming is Doom that you saw there, Pong, Pac-Man, Mega Man.
November, Valve also made 2 other claims. The first was that the hardware in the Steam machine is equal to or better than 70% of what people game on currently. So I went and looked at the most recent Steam hardware survey, and yeah, I think that holds up right now. The most common GPUs out there are 3060s.
That still amazes me that the 3060 is the most common used out there. And when you're looking down here, you know, the 5080 isn't even anywhere to be seen.
And 4060s, and there's a big chunk of device.
Right? Man, even the 5070 Ti is not here, and that's a really good graphics card. Right? The 4070 Ti isn't here either. Like, both of those graphics cards are really good for 2K gaming.
Devices that are weaker than that, so it does seem that the Steam machine...
Not even my graphics card was on there, the 3090 Ti. I did this, you know, I've only played a little bit of Dark Ages. I don't see anything wrong with it. People wanted a story-based Doom. They got exactly what they wanted. The combat may have felt a little bit slower, but it didn't feel off. I mean, Goggle, it didn't sell. Doom the Dark Ages really sold pretty poorly, which is a surprise, considering its huge heritage. But it just didn't feel like anyone really was excited for it. Those Steam surveys don't tell the full picture. It's an opt-in survey. Oh, sure, I know. But it gives you a good indication. Right? It gives you a good indication.
Is equal to or better than 70% of the existing gaming hardware out there, at least according to Steam surveys. Now, the other claim that Valve made back in November was that you should be able to hit 4K.
See, I don't see why that's a winning thing. Like, yes, someone who's running on a Pentium 1 processor, of course, it's going to be better than theirs. But this all just seems like PR rubbish to me.
60 on most Steam games using AMD's FSR. And you can get there, like you can hit 4K 60, but often with the lowest presets and aggressive upscaling doing most of the work.
The money.
And depending on the game, the quality at 4K with FSR can look good in some games, but other games not so much.
Look, I understand this point, which is why I was saying, you know, people need to look at their financial status. I think if you want the best of the best, I think the 5090 is a bit overkill personally. The 5080 is pretty much where it's a good point, and those are around £1,000 on their own, 1,001, 1,002. I think they're justified for the money. I do. I think they're worth it based on. I mean, I think it's a bit expensive, but you get what you pay for. But if you want a really true sweet spot, the 9070 XT is a really good kind of middle ground for what you're looking for, and that's like 600. But you know, the 5090 priced at $2.5, $3,000, that ain't worth it.
And same with ray tracing. This system is capable of ray tracing, but AMD's GPUs are typically not as good as NVIDIA's GPUs when it comes to handling that kind of technology. So in general, I would set my expectations
I mean,
this
this is a
device
1080p box,
1080p machine. It's not like some 4K beast machine. It's an excellent 1080p device. And a big part of that comes from the fact that this only has 8 gigs of VRAM. Now, this was a hardware decision or a hardware choice that was very contentious because 8 gigs is like the minimum. So 8 gigs of VRAM is still the most common amount of VRAM on Steam, and 1080p is still the most common resolution that people play in. And you could argue that 8 gigs of RAM is enough for 1080p, but it's at the cusp of being enough because there are games that if you crank the graphic settings, like if you want like higher textures, more advanced textures.
I will add that 1080p, like my kids upstairs generally play at 1080p because they want to play at silly resolutions, silly frame rates at like 120 to 240 FPS. And as you can imagine, the higher your FPS, the more demanding it's going to be. So they're happy to play like games like, and they play games like Dota, Valorant, and stuff like that. So, you know, having a high resolution isn't that important. It's the frame rate that's important. So they want that frame rate, and they're happy to play at 1080p for a higher frame rate of 120, 240. For me, my sweet spot is 2K resolution. If I could up it to 4K, I would, but my GPU really, with the newer games especially, is struggling at 4K. So 2K is fine, and then it upscales. But yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It chokes at even 1080p resolution. And who knows about the future, right? This is a system that's supposed to last several years. I just feel like 8 gigs is literally the bare minimum, and they just went with it. Native 1440p with higher textures can be rough on performance depending on the game, and native 4K resolution is only going to be playable with very light titles. But at 1080p, fantastic system. Now, it's a very quiet and energy efficient system. I've had it running for hours with good temperatures and low fan noise. It's quieter than a PS5 or an Xbox for sure. And for a system this size with this kind of performance, the cooling system is very impressive. To open it up, it's just a few screws to remove. And once you do, you can see the massive heatsink that's in here.
Yeah, it's
and
rare you
also
get true
the big
4K on any of the
fan
consoles.
on the back of the device that is moving the air. And
And
because
this
it's
is
such
4K.
a big fan, it doesn't have to spin super fast, but to remove a relatively large amount of air. And so the air will suck in from the front of the device as well as the bottom of the device. And it sucks it through and then blows it out the back. And also, if you look at the bottom here, you'll see that this is where the storage drive is. So if you ever need to replace it or upgrade it, you have that. Now, one thing I want to draw your attention to are the antennas. There are 4 antennas on this thing.
Huge.
And you might be thinking, why do I need a super sweaty Asian guy showing me antennas on a Steam machine? It is very cool. So there's a total of 4. 2 of them are for Wi-Fi. They've positioned them very well. So there's one that runs on the top, like, so this is the front of the device here, and this would be the back towards me. So there's a Wi-Fi antenna that runs along the side up to the top, and there's another one that runs on the side, and then there's kind of upper top. But there's also 2 other antennas. One is dedicated for Bluetooth connections, so there's no interruption or interference with the Wi-Fi. And then a 4th one that is the antenna specifically for the Steam controllers. So this has internal hardware, so you don't need the puck or the dongle thing that normally comes with the Steam controller to have to play with it. It just connects, you just connect a wire and it knows, it does a little thing, and then now you can just use the Steam controller without any kind of dongle, which is...
So basically, he's bigging up something that Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo have been doing for how many years now? Dude, Consoles have been doing that for years. God, even Stadia did that. I'll give him quieter than PlayStation, but Xbox makes no noise outside of what would be. Oh, I know that, man. There's like zero noise on the Xbox. Oh, you just reminded me. It's Prime Day. I needed to check out that receiver. The kind of like a double out and one in for a splitter. That's the word I'm looking for. So, because if it ain't the splitter, then I think my Xbox might be not liking something.
Not new in the console world, but is kind of new in the PC gaming world. I kind of like that. It's just a cleaner setup. Now, because these are all separated, I've noticed that the latency, the Steam controller latency is already awesome, but the Bluetooth controller latency, if you've played with Bluetooth controllers and you have a download going and very often, you can tell that there's interference and you'll work around it. But because it's a separate connection or a separate antenna, it is a massive improvement for Bluetooth controllers running off of this system. When you disassemble it further, you can see that there are 2 RAM slots, so it's upgradable RAM.
All right, I just want to ask a question, right? I want to ask a question. Steve just said something. Do you think Steam Bros would go crazy if Valve said, we're going to charge you online access? Something like £15 a month, £10 a month, or £60 a year. Do you think they would lose their mind if they actually went down that route?
And if you flip that over, you can see the motherboard and the 2 chips, the CPU and the GPU. The front plate is magnetic, and let me just slot this back in real quick. The default plate is this black one here, and it attaches like so. But in the 2 terabyte bundle box, it came with 2 other plates. There is a red one that is this red velvet looking plate, which I personally don't love. But
for those of you that are paying £1,200, $1,500, or 2,000 Canadian dollars, you get that red plate extra. Man, Gabe does know how to add value to his Steam machine. He's giving you that extra red faceplate. Man, you guys are lucky that are buying that up to $2,000 Steam machine. I hope you enjoy that red faceplate, though.
Depending on your decor, you might make this work. And I think it's the color of like the Valve, I don't know, like that orangish, reddish color that they have on their Valve logo. And there's also this wooden plate that I actually like. This to me feels like if you have the right space for it, it just looks better than the black. But the fact that you can swap out plates so readily and so easily, you know that there's gonna be a ton of companies making cool things like this. I imagine skins. The D brand companion cube is arguably the best thing out there. That's super cool and very well done.
All right, that's kind of cool. I'll give him that. That looks kind of cool. That's what it should have looked like. A portal machine.
Now, below the faceplate is this RGB strip. You can set up to this rainbow lighting thing, or you can make it pulse. You can make it super bright. You can kill it. And when you're downloading stuff, it works as a progress bar. The I/O ports work like a regular PC because it is a regular PC. If you want to set this thing up as your very tiny gaming desktop, it works wonderfully for that. Just plug up your mouse and keyboard and let it rip. There's USB-C in the back, but this is not Thunderbolt. It's just regular USB-C connection. Now, this at the front has a micro SD slot, and if you pop it out, you'll see there's a little card. You can pull this out from your Steam Deck with all your games and just throw it in. There's no configuration or anything necessary. It just automatically reads it as your game drive. So Steam machine, very cool. However, we need to talk about its price. When this thing was announced in November, I estimated it to be a $700 to $800 machine. That's what I thought it would be based on what the market was at the time. It is not that price. This has an official price tag of $1,049 US for the base model with 512 gigs of storage. There's a 2 terabyte version as well as bundled versions for both of these.
That 2 terabyte version, and I've seen nibs comparing the PS5 Pro to the $900 PS5 Pro to the $1,428 Steam machine. What I don't get is why do people do that? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Why do people do that? Like, why wouldn't you, like, the cheapest entry to a PS5 Pro is $900 plus tax. The cheapest entry for a Steam machine is $1,049. So why wouldn't you compare it to the $1,049? Like, I've seen, yes, $1,428. But what I'm saying is, why don't people compare it to the lower end machine, which is exactly the same spec outside of the hard drive space? I mean, Jesse, you could just get an external NVMe drive and plug it in, and off you go. You can do what you want. You've got the complete freedom. I'm sure people are going to be going and buying 1 terabyte NVMe external drives and just plugging them in. Steve, I think you misunderstood the question. In Canada, $2,000. Oh. Yeah, but it comes with a disk drive. The PS5 Pro doesn't come with a disk drive. And we know how PlayStation fans feel about the disk drive. It has to come with the disk drive. Otherwise, it's no good. So just like I'm not including their disk drive, I'm not including the controller here. And let's be realistic, that anyone that's going to buy this has a controller. And as it's a PC, you don't need a controller. You can play keyboard and mouse. The Steam machine has no disk drive? What do you mean it has no disk drive? No, I've just never understood that logic. And every time I see it, because they used to do it with Xbox all the time, right? They used to say, oh, the PS5 Pro is this, but look at the 2 terabyte Series X. I mean, why are you going to the 2 terabyte? You can get the Series X, which is exactly the same spec. It's available. Why would I go for the 2 terabyte and pay all that extra money? I mean, you can if you want to, but you have the option of getting the exact same spec power-wise for the 1 terabyte version. I've just never understood it, and I'm just curious as to why people do that outside of them trying to push a fake agenda. Because I see it all the time, and it's just weird. Can the Steam machine play Dustborn in 4K 120 FPS native? No. Why the SSD though? Why is the SSD the most important part of a console? I thought the most important part of the console would be the power, right? And if one is providing you an exact same spec, but at a cheaper entry level, right, at 512 gig, then who gives a shit about the extra storage? It's not like I can't go and buy extra storage later. I don't know. I always found it weird. I always found that weird. The whole thing should be based on the power of the console, not SSDs. Like, what are we even doing here? It should be the CPU. Exactly. Maybe the draw is the memory from jump. Oh, no. I'm not even saying that, Bold Alpha. I'm just saying, why compare a PS5 Pro to this one, to this price over here, when this exists? No, they're comparing the price. They're saying that he was saying that the PS5 Pro is 56% cheaper, when in reality, that's an entry point level at the same spec as this one. There's no difference in power. There's no difference in capabilities. and you can get it for 1,049, and the difference then becomes at 15%. But you can do a lot more on this machine than you can, you can do a lot more on a PC than you can on a console. So it's give and take. You don't have to pay for, Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus or whatever. So you save money off that as well. Micro SD cards are expensive now, Jesse. They are expensive. They jumped in. I went to get one for my Switch 2 that I never use, and they jumped in price so much. I was like, nah. In 1 week, they jumped up in like crazy price.
Now, my first reaction when I found out the price, and keep in mind, I'd been testing this thing for about a week before they landed on a price and let me know. But when I found out, I was like, what? 1,049 for a system that has 8 gigs of VRAM? Like, that seems crazy. And it was just so much higher than what I was like hoping and expecting it to be. And I just immediately looked into the cost of building your own. And right now it does seem like it would be a similar cost to go that route. And to be fair, Valve had said right off the rip that they were not trying to target console pricing as much as we wanted to. They were trying
to be exact, Gamers Nexus actually did do a build for it. And it actually turned out that if you build your own machine, it's actually cheaper than the Steam machine. The Steam machine only is cheaper at the 2 terabyte model. But at the 512, it's cheaper to build your own machine. I'm telling you, man, the form factor is the reason why this is so expensive.
Target desktop pricing. Now, there are a bunch of advantages if you have your own like custom build, right? You can control your budget. If you want a more expensive GPU, you want more VRAM, you can do all that and you can trim back on stuff that you don't need. Like if you have a drive of your own, you can just do it and adjust your budget, and it's a fully upgradable system. There's obviously a bunch of advantages, but the one thing, the big thing that you'll never have that the Steam machine does have is the tuning. Valve has dialed in the CPU, the operating system, the drivers, the firmware, all of it for this specific hardware configuration. So all the power management, the fan curves, the sleep wake, the way that the controllers interact, like the controller settings, all of it is done in advance. But the best part is the settings of the game. So the first time you load up into a game, the developer has already set up a graphics like setting that they think is like ideal, and Valve has verified it for this system because there's only one hardware configuration with 16 gigs of RAM, 8 gigs of VRAM with this performance, so that the developers are aware of this exact hardware configuration. They tune a setting to that, and they're like, this is the profile that the Steam machines will boot up with, so that the moment you play, you don't have to mess with any of that stuff. Now, if you're a PC...
Have you noticed what he's saying? Usher is going to figure out a way to make the looks cheaper, and now there's rumors that the handheld might still be a thing that could be cheaper. I mean, we'll see. Gamers Nexus debunks this. Now, I like the point that he's making here, though, because Steam bros for the longest time and Linux lovers for the longest time would argue this point to death that it's not true. But now that Steam machine is doing it, they're saying what I've been saying for a long time when it comes to consoles, that if you build specifically for one platform, you get a better performance because it's tailored for that machine. But for the longest time, the Steam bros said, nah, that's not true and whatever. But as soon as the trajectory changes, they go full back straight onto that. That's kind of silly, man. Come on. That's silly.
PC gamer and you like messing around with it, we take this stuff for granted, right? We are so used to that. Like we were born in the craziness of like having to adjust 1,000 things.
I'm not going to lie. I go into a game, the first thing I do is set everything to ultra, go in. And if it isn't locked at 60 or at least almost 60, then I'll go and maybe turn the shadow down and then it'll go to 60. And that's it. That's all I do.
before you even play.
That's not a lot of
for
tinkering.
A ton of my friends and my kids, they look at that stuff and they're like, ew, like, can we just play Nintendo Switch instead? Because I don't have to mess with that. So I look at this and I'm like, this is so amazing. This is transformative because now you have a desktop.
See, Jesse, Steam does have some crazy sales, right? And I think part of the reason is because it's so easy to pirate. So trying to, and they're always competing with piracy, right? So having the games at a crazy low price is a good way to stop people from pirating. Whereas on consoles, you can't pirate, so they can do whatever they want. And that's why you see prices being higher. That's the only logical thing I can think of. Are you reviewing the... I'm not buying it, Bold. I wish it was cheaper for me to buy it, and I would have, reviewed it. But I can't justify dropping £1,000 on this machine. I just can't justify it. It's too much.
Thing that the enthusiast can still mess around with if we want, but if you don't
I was
care
thinking
for it,
500
you don't know how to
quid.
mess around with
It's
settings,
not 500 quid.
tweaking things, it just goes into the system, it boots it up automatically, is detected by the whole thing, and it just plays perfectly with great graphics and great frame rate. And like, maybe I'm overthinking this, but this to me changes the way that PC gaming is, because this has never existed before on a desktop.
Around 500.
The Steam Deck could do it, but that's a handheld. This is the first, and I think the only system that could do it, because you need to have a hardware configuration that is locked and no one else can customize it, because the moment you have customizable hardware, now you can't do that, right? You can only do this if it's a locked hardware configuration, and this is it. And this is why the experience is so console-like, that if you just don't want to mess around with nerdy, sweaty stuff, this can do it. But if you built your own system, even if you match the hardware one-to-one somehow, I don't think you'd be able to pull it off. Also, if you built your own system, you couldn't get something this small and this performance.
What do you mean you can't pull it off? Jesus Christ. Wow, that's a bold claim there, Cotton. I've never had a problem. I know. Means the down hardware are never going to be above medium settings. Yeah, I know. Don't get me wrong, PC has way more flexibility than consoles. You can set it to whatever you like and tinker until it's perfect for you. Consoles generally just have two options: performance and quality. I mean, here's Goggle. It's crazy that the Defense Force is out so strong with this one.
And this quiet together. Like, I just don't think that would be possible. You would need custom hardware for it. Okay, there's two other things I want to mention.
And doesn't the ROG X, the Xbox Ally X, do exactly the same thing as what he's saying here? You've got, when you boot up a game, it kind of benchmarks it and sets the game for you anyway. I don't know who this guy is. Someone in chat told me that he's good. I've never heard of him. He's got like almost 4 million subscribers, but I've never heard of him.
At the price. So the first
so
is,
chat said
if you look at the price, it's $10.49, which, if you think about it from the psychological perspective, is so much worse than the simple $9.99. I'm sure Valve would have loved to be able to hit that $9.99.
Do you know what? I actually agree with this. I think if it had hit that $9.99 mark, I think a lot more people would have been, kind of. But the moment it passes that £1,000 mark, that's it. That's it. Like, it's like when you go to you see people at a car dealership, right? How much is that car? Oh, it's $59,999. Oh man, thank God it's not 60 grand. If that was 60, I probably wouldn't have spent it. But at 59,999, you got yourself a deal. That psychological effect that it has is crazy, and that's part of the reason why they do it. But because it's like that one digit below, even if it is a penny, they don't care. That it's that psychological aspect of it. And look, anyone saying that they couldn't have subsidized $49, it's crazy. They could have.
Price point, it's below 1,000. I think that the pricing was so tight for them that they couldn't just make $9.99 work, and they had to go with the much less attractive $10.49.
No, they could have made it work. They could have subsidized. They don't have to subsidize, but they could have subsidized. They could have made it work. I don't understand when people say they couldn't get it to work. They could get it to work. They could. Right? They could.
Thing is that I think Valve is so aware of how sensitive the pricing around this product is that they even released a statement about all like the component pricing and all that stuff. But they also have this thing about like why.
Here's the scary thing, Bold Alpha. I don't think you're going to see a price cut. I think in 3 months' time or 4 months' time, you're going to see a price increase. So if you are seriously considering buying one and you do want one, I don't know, man. With the way the industry has gone and how prices have become, I'd expect a price increase before a price decrease.
They don't want to subsidize. And maybe there's merit to it. Their whole stance is that if you subsidize a product like this, it just makes the ecosystem more closed and it prevents other companies from being able to make hardware like this. It's a whole thing. And in their defense, maybe there is merit to it. But if if this thing was cheap enough and it was like below the cost of what it was like a subsidized product, I think many people would just buy this as like a Windows desktop or like a Linux desktop and not even play games on it, which would be weird, but that would be the natural tendency of people, right?
Look, I get it. Their excuse being you could put Windows on it. So what is it that they're saying? That people are going to install Windows and pirate all their games? Because no one's going Epic Game Store or to GOG to buy their games on a regular basis, right? Even if they installed Windows on there, if they're legit customers that want to actually buy their games, they're still going to download Steam, install Steam, go straight into that store and play it. And let's face it, the only people that will probably want to make sure that they can play all their games is those that play those games that require thing. Easy anti-cheat. So, I mean, the statistics speak for themselves. You're not suddenly going to see a bunch of people buying the Steam machine, installing Windows, rushing over to the Epic Game Store, installing that, and then mass buying games from there. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Like, not now, not ever. Like, I don't see it. Like, that to me is such a weak excuse. I mean, let's be real. Does anyone actually see that happening? That we're going to see a mass adoption of people buying the Steam machine, rushing out to buy Windows to install on their Steam machine, and then install Epic Game Store on their Steam machine to play that as their main launcher. We could use it as oversized dice. I could see businesses buying it for office work if it was cheaper than the normal. They get those for dirt cheap, Vital. They get those like in bulk. So they come cheap. They get tax benefits on those as well. So yeah, they get them at a really good price, businesses. The business rates on those are really good. So I don't see that happening. I just think they made a mistake pushing it above 1K. I mean, having a version above 1K is fine, but they should have had one under 1K at the very least. But it's their choice, man. I'm not going to sit here and tell them what to do. I just think it was a silly move. But the excuse is just rubbish. It's like the R&D guy that made the Steam controller. In an interview, he said, we could have made the Steam controller to work on everything, Xbox, PlayStation, Windows, but we thought it would be too confusing to the player base, to the community, to the gamers who actually are going to pay 90 quid for a controller. It would be too confusing to those people. So we decided not to. Yeah, it's going to be really confusing, right? Like, that's going to be so confusing. Can't even have like a colored changing option on there for each platform. It's going to be really confusing. Sometimes I do think Steam thinks people are stupid.
Okay, so you might think, based on the title of this video, that this is the bad news, that the pricing is the bad news. It is not, because I don't think that this is overpriced. It is expensive, much more expensive than we were hoping and expecting to be, but I don't think it's overpriced, all things considered. So what is
you're the one that
the
told
bad
me
news,
Twitter
Dave? You might be
isn't
asking.
real.
All right.
Twitter is just a bubble.
Because of the supply constraints of components, they were saying that they can't even get some of the components to just have the quantities that they're trying to get. I think it'll be extremely difficult for people to get this thing. The quantities are so limited that Valve is running like this raffle-based system where you like submit your email and they pick out winners to have the privilege of buying this thing.
Hey, tell us. In contrast, one of my friends actually pre-ordered the Steam controller, and it said that he's scheduled to receive it second half of 2027. Just wow. Do you know what? This actually might be worth buying because there's enough Steam bros out there that might want to actually buy this, and then leaving it in the box, and when they sell out, put it on eBay for like double the price for the 512 gig, and milk the Steam bros.
I've never seen a hardware launch in the gaming space that is this supply limited.
That's the only thing I can see worthwhile on this
go to the
machine.
end of the year and into the next,
and then use that money to buy a proper
batch
PC.
of orders. It's crazy. So yes, Steam machine. If you're looking for one, and if this fits your budget, it's a really cool machine. It's just extraordinarily difficult to get, it seems. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video.
It was an interesting video, to say the least. But it was very, very one-sided. It was extremely one-sided. The Gamers Nexus video is an hour long, man. You guys want to sit down watching Gamers Nexus for one whole hour? I mean, that'll literally take the whole stream. Steam Machine would be the perfect start for my one word review channel. Play at 3 times speed. Ain't no one gonna understand what's being said. Where's the Gamers Nexus one? And no one gonna understand what's being said.
It was launching today for $1,050 for a 512 gig.
Why is this so long? All right. Good luck understanding, boys.
Model and $1,350 for a 2 terabyte model. They also have controller bundles. We'll put the conclusion up front. No bullshit. In performance test with Steam OS machine versus we found Steam machine performance close to the RX 6600. Intel V570 and RTX 3060 with one instance of RX 3060 match.
Are you sure you guys want 3 times speed? It's too long, man. At 3 times speed, you can't understand it. Let's see what a ton of tests. Let's skip that. Support us and get. Okay, we can skip that. Valve Q and RAM challenge. We can skip that. Valve is a nobody in memory. Okay. Price comparison, thermals. We can skip all this. Power consumption. What we want to do is get to the game performance. Does he actually do any gaming performance? All right, let's watch the gaming performance side of it, right? There seems to be some stuff here for game performance. I think it goes to about here, to the 33 mark, and we're at the 24. So it's a 10 minutes for the gaming aspect of it. So we can do that. We can do that. We can do the gaming portion of it.
That in future videos. Resident Evil 4 is up now. This is another game where we have a massive amount of data due to its 3 years on the test bench. The Steam machine ran at 94 FPS average, putting it right around the same level as the 5700 Evoke from 2019. Lows are also functionally identical between them. The 2070 Super leads the Steam machine by a few FPS, with the 2070 Non-Super below it, and at 88 FPS average.
Wait a second. So are you guys saying that my kid's aging PC upstairs that is running a 2080 Super is more powerful than this? For real? Hey, Black John. How's it going? Yes? Fuck. I was thinking of giving this to him. Oh my. Ooh. I think he would have hated me for life.
Around the same level as the 92 FPS from the 6600. The Steam machine ends up leading the 2070 and 3060 by about 6% and the 2060 by 33%. As for what's ahead of it, the more modern RX 7600 ran at 112 FPS average for a lead of 20% over the machine. The A750 and RTX 5050 are also in this range. The Steam machine's performance, in an absolute sense, is overall okay in that it's playable. However, it's weakly positioned in a relative sense. In Black Myth Wukong, we measured the Steam machine's holistic performance with SteamOS and the reporting differences at 43.9 FPS average, roughly tying the B580 and just ahead of the B570 from Intel. The RX 7600 ran at 47 FPS average, so technically not.
Wasn't the Intel Arc usually looked down upon like it being a piece of trash? I guess it's good now, right? Let's see where my graphics card comes into this. That's the 3080. Now, my graphics card is never, ever in this list. Was there something wrong with the 3090 series? Like, I never see it in here at all. Was there something wrong with the 3090 Ti series? Was it a bad card or something? Like, whenever I see these charts, I never see it. It's never in them. You've got all sorts, like you got the 4090, you got the 5090, but they never bring up the 3090 Ti. Yes, you got it. Hey, man. This like a video you see a week. Yeah, I'm only watching about 10 minutes of this, and then we can move on with the rest of the news story. This is really weird, but okay.
Advantage, but they're comparable enough. The 5050 widens that gap despite being an awful video card, and the 6600 shows at least that the Steam machine is outperforming the ancient GPU with modern CPU combination. Comparing against older hardware, the RTX 3060 12GB is almost perfectly matched to the Steam machine, keeping in mind the CPU mismatch, but we're GPU bound here. Lows are also about the same. The RTX 2070 is nearly within error and variance. The Steam machine ends up being a blend of the RX 7600, RTX 3060, RTX 2070, and B580 in this chart. It meaningfully outperforms the 6600 and the 5700. In Starfield at 1080p Ultra, which is directly comparable to our GPU suite, the Steam machine ran at 41 FPS average and sat between the Intel A770
17 FPS at 1080p.
result, and the A750 38.5 FPS average, also leading the 38 FPS average of the 6600 by 8%. The RTX 5050 without a CPU limit improves upon the Steam Machine's performance by 19.8% for average frame rate, with the 5050 also improving upon the lows, which it has at 41 and 34 to the machine's 25 and 18, predictably.
It has
By
been.
scaling,
It has.
it's also
I've seen it.
better. The Steam Machine has disproportionately poor 1% and 0.1% lows in this test as compared to the average when scaled against other devices. This is atypical of games running on Proton, where we typically see disproportionate advantages against Windows. This happens sometimes, it just depends on the game. The RX 7600 remains our anchor point and leads with a 49.8 FPS average, or 20%. In Oblivion Remastered at 1080p Ultra, the Steam Machine ran at 27 FPS average without any form of upscaling. Since we mostly care about the relative scaling and not...
Okay, seriously, why is my graphics card never in this list? Like, seriously, does anyone actually know why? Eventually, I'll get burning on top of it. Do you? Are you talking about OLEDs, Jesse? Yeah, why is my graphics card never in this list? It's an unusual card. Really? None of these cards are unusual, but the 3090 Ti is an unusual one? Okay.
Absolute frame rate, that puts it as comparable to the 7600 and its 26.5 FPS average result. The Steam Machine ended up with a technical improvement of 1.9% over the 7600. The frame time pacing is about the same between them, and the Steam Machine leads the 2021 RX 6600 and its 19 FPS average by about 40%. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the Steam Machine ran at 50 FPS average, not bad in an absolute sense, and approached the B570 in average performance while running the same lows. That's a good thing for low pacing. The machine is still beaten by the CPU Unbound RX 7600 at 59 FPS average, or a 19% advantage. In Dragon's Dogma 2, the Steam Machine held a 52 FPS average with our 1080p max settings. Again, that's not bad in the absolute sense that you can play this game on the machine with these settings, especially if tuning the settings or using upscaling. In the relative sense, which is what we care about here, that makes it basically a B580 or A770 for performance, both of which struggled with this game. The RX 7600 leads the Steam Machine with a 60 FPS average, or by 15%. RTX 5050 is in the same spot. The Steam Machine outperforms the older RX 6600 by a few FPS average, although more notably with the lows. Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail's benchmark positions the Steam Machine lower than we typically expect, but it was reproducible. The Steam Machine ran at 86 FPS average with okay lows, but worse relative lows than devices like the RX 6600, which has the same average FPS. The machine ends up behind the 2070 and 5050 and far behind the 107 FPS average result of the RX 7600. We test the Outer Worlds 2 at 1080p very high, so this should be tuned down for real Steam Machine use cases, but this is what we have months of data on, and so it makes sense for the best relative comparison. The Steam Machine ran at 26 FPS average. More importantly, that has tied with the RTX 5050 and Intel B570 ARC GPUs. The RX 7600 leads the Steam Machine by about 15% here, with the machine leading cards like the RTX 3060 and RX 5700 from an era past. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty at 1080p Ultra is next. The Steam Machine ran at 59 FPS average, about tied with the Intel Arc A750 and RTX 2070. The 3060 is just behind the Steam Machine, and these RX 7600 ran at 68 FPS average, an uplift of 16.6%. We also tried running the F1 series of games, including F124, but were unable to get it to run due to the anti-cheat software being incompatible with SteamOS. And we also ran Total War Warhammer 3, but it had issues with the in-game frame rate report mismatching Mango HUD, resulting in unreliable data. Ray tracing benchmarks are up now. We only have a couple. You'd really need upscaling for this to be workable, but everything scales relative to each other, so we'll stick to our approach for A/B comparisons. The Steam Machine ran at 21 FPS average in Cyberpunk with RT medium settings. Again, that improved with upscaling and settings tuning, but the relative rank would not meaningfully change and may even get worse versus other devices. The RX 7600 ran 8% ahead of the Steam Machine, but with worse 0.1% lows. The 6600 is just behind the machine in average, but also worse for lows. The RTX 3050, 3060, and 2070 all outperform the Steam Machine meaningfully. Valve posted a last-minute ray tracing performance patch that we also tested. The Steam Machine patch pushed it to 22.8 FPS average from 20.7, an improvement of 10%. It's a lot for a software update. We all ran ray tracing with Black Myth Wukong at 1080p high and using quality FSR settings. The end result was
Black Myth Wukong runs at 13 FPS. You're going to get pro gaming with that one. Man, this is bad. This is bad. Man, that 4090 is still sitting up there quite healthily, though. That's a beast of a card. Hearing those numbers, you're buying 5 Steam machines? Oh, man, that is crazy, man.
14 FPS, so it's just not playable. Maybe on low settings and performance FSR, but RT in this game is really heavy, period. But especially,
I thought this was going to be max at $399.99. That's what I priced it. That's what I originally said. And I said my original thought was $299, $249.99 with the controller. And was it $399? $449.99 for the 2 terabyte edition.
for the Steam machine. Valve's last-minute patch boosted it to 16.7 FPS from 13.8. Although the absolute value is obviously low, this is a huge percentage increase of 21%.
I think
that matches Valve's expectations. SteamOS has historically improved upon frame-to-frame interval over Windows for handhelds, so we'll look at frame times individually as well. We'll start with one of the best performers, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at 1080p Ultra. 20 milliseconds per frame translates to a sub-60 but playable frame rate. And the 1% and 0.1% lows stuck close to the average as well, indicating few spikes. In contrast, this Starfield pass at 1080p Ultra wasn't much worse on most frames, but had some huge spikes, up to 40 milliseconds or more. The biggest spike logged in this run was just above 60 milliseconds. These are noticeable against the 22 to 25 millisecond standard. It's unfortunate that we can't yet log frame data with the same detail as we would on Windows.
Yeah, I love
this would
my
be the
OLED
perfect
TV.
opportunity to check the animation error or simulation time error metric. CPU-specific benchmarks are next, where we take our standard CPU suite and run the Steam machine against it. These are intended to be CPU-bound, but we can't isolate the GPU obviously totally from this, so there are instances where it still hits other limits. Keep in mind that CPU benchmarking also heavily depends on memory. All of our desktop CPUs are spec-matched, but we're testing the Steam machine out of the box. That means that some of the performance differences will be from memory, since we aren't isolating the components like we do for a desktop part, and there are no speed and timing controls. We'll start with 7-zip file compression testing, measured in millions of instructions per second. In this test, the Steam machine completed 55,000 MIPS on average, putting it just below.
So that's where the Steam machine is. That's where my CPU is. No, the one below it. I think I should sell my PC and get a Steam machine. You take that back, Bagsy. You can't goggle. That's a big problem for them.
The R5 3600, which leads by 7%, and just ahead of the R7 2700 with a 1.7% advantage for the Steam Machine CPU. The R5 2600 completed 46,000 MIPS, meaning the Steam Machine is ahead by 19%. Valve's Steam Machine may be a Zen 4 solution, but with its hard power limits in at least this test, it performs closer to Zen 2 and Zen Plus CPUs. In file decompression, the Steam Machine falls below the R7 2700 and R5 3600 meaningfully, outperforming only the R5 2600 on our charts. The Steam machine ran about 7.
Dude, I think the processor I got that my kid is using, which is my old ancient dinosaur processor, is this 3600 R5. I think this is the one I got, and it's better than the Steam machine. And this thing I bought I think 10 years ago. It might have been a little sooner, maybe 7 or 6 years ago. Somewhere it was long time ago.
Ahead of the 2600. The 3600 outperformed the Steam machine by 12.5%, with the 5600X at 31%. The 7600 completed 103,000 MIPS, which looks impressive against the 67,000 of the Steam machine, and leads by 53%. Blender rendering with cycles on the CPU is next. In this one, we tested the Steam machine both with the like-for-like version of Blender, with all of our other CPU tests, and with the newer 5.1.2 version. The comparable version is slower, but better for AB, while the newer version may have optimizations for Linux. Like for like, the Steam machine required 24.4 minutes to complete a render of a single frame of our intro animation which is basically tied with the R5 5600X 3D and R5 5600X. We'll start with CPU game testing in Stellaris, where we can confidently test that we are CPU bound, not pushing against any kind of GPU performance limits. This helps us isolate the performance. The Steam machine with the same DX11 version of the game required 67.4 seconds to complete simulation, which puts it between the R5 3600 and R7 3700X. The 5600X completed the same simulation in 24% less time.
I like the fact that my
using the
graphics
Linux
card is
version
put
of
up
the game. The Steam machine improved to 63.9 seconds, a reduction in time required of 5%. It's likely that the other parts here also improve with the Linux version of the game. CPU testing for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is up now, tested at 1080p medium. The Steam machine ends up at the bottom of the chart. We haven't tested anything lower performance than the R5 2600 in a couple of years, and the 2600's 111 FPS average result puts it 31% ahead of the machine. Even though this is significantly higher in frame rate than the GPU-targeted testing we ran in the same game,
Man,
it's
this is
possible that
crazy.
we're hitting the GPU
How
limit now,
bad
but higher.
is the Steam machine?
Move on to another game.
And
In
it's
the Outer
priced
Worlds
so
2, with our
much.
CPU-focused test at 1080p low, the Steam machine ran at 64 FPS average and roughly tied the R5 3600. The lows are nearly the same. The 3700X improves slightly.
When was the R5 3600 launched? Can anyone check up the release date for the R5 3600? Like, it's competing. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm almost certain that that's the CPU that's in my son's PC, because he basically took my old PC. Does anyone know when that CPU was released?
5600X is at 73 FPS average, 13% ahead of the Steam machines at 64. Overall, the absolute performance isn't bad for the machine, but paying this much money for effectively a 2019 R5 3600 computer in 2026.
So 7 years ago, because I bought it when it first came out. 7 years ago. And the Steam machine is either competing or worse than a 7-year-old CPU. That's crazy. That's insane. What was that other guy talking about when he was bigging up this machine? Did he do nothing in terms of research? That's crazy. I ain't hating on Steam. I'm hating on the Steam machine. I also don't like Steam, but, you know, it is what it is. I mainly use the Xbox app these days. I've got everything there, and it, connects with everything I have. So most of the stuff I get through the Play Anywhere, I get through there. And, I think in terms of usage, I've got like a 60-40 usage of the Xbox PC app to the Steam. Epic gets maybe like anywhere between the 2 and 5% usage, and GOG will get like a 1% usage throughout the year.
Doesn't feel great. In Starfield at 1080 low for the CPU, the Steam machine landed at 65 FPS average with poor lows, disproportionately worse than those found on the R5 2600, minding the differences in collection and OS. We may be binding more on the GPU in this test, as our GPU-focused results had it in the 40s. On to SteamOS and BIOS. Even if you haven't used the Steam Deck, you may be familiar with the SteamOS interface, since Big Picture Mode was updated to match. Valve told us from the beginning that its plan was to make the 2022 reboot of SteamOS available to install on non-Valve devices, like the 2013 original, and on desktops. But that plan has been moving slowly, with some exceptions like the Legion Go S and third-party hacks. Valve reiterated to us that it's opening up installs on third-party hardware. It also sounds like NVIDIA driver support is predictably tricky because Linux with NVIDIA, but AMD and Intel should be fine. Escape during the boot process enters BIOS, which is navigable with a Steam controller if you get one before 2027. Performance settings are entirely adjusted from inside the OS and are very limited. There aren't any controls for memory speed or timings within BIOS, which may make upgrading less precise. There aren't any overclocking options or...
So I think the general consensus is that this is just hot garbage. That's insane, man. That's insane. Remember when Apple released their VR and nobody bought it, but it's Apple? Man, I saw a few people walking around with it and it was crazy. £3,000 was insane for a VR headset. I mean, I knew it was underpowered, but this is ridiculous. I don't think those Steam bros can ever talk about any console ever again. That's crazy, man. I didn't know it was that bad. I knew it was bad, but not that bad. And you did. You did. You did. Wait, who coping? Wait, what's going on? We got a Steam Bro in here? Damn, at the bottom of the list the whole time. It's and at $1,000 as well. That not good, man. That not good. Me, a Steam Bro? Nah, bro. If I had my way, I would stop releasing Xbox games on Steam full stop and leave them on Xbox PC. If I had my way, that's what I would do. But I don't have my way. No way. No way. I know a lot of people love Steam. I'll never understand why. I mean, they do have great sales, in fairness. But they're just as evil as any other corporation out there. You'll be surprised, Goggle Poe. They do. What do you mean I'm a pony? Did you see the way they came at me the other day? It was quite funny. They were all ripping a new arsehole just to try and get my attention. Yeah. A silver spoon? Nah. I need a new sponsor at this point. Rebby, what are you waiting for? If you're waiting for a video, I'm streaming. I can't do both at the same time. Steam Bros be like, you don't pay for online. Yeah, because you only... That's coming up in a little bit. Yeah, it's coming up in a little bit, Rebby. We were covering the Steam news at the moment. What PSN glass? I have no idea what you're talking about. But I think we've mocked the Steam machine enough, and it's fully deserved. Diablo is coming up with a new update. You got new Pandemonium Ruptures, new Death Toll Chamber, reworked Mythic Uniques, Diablo cross Overwatch collaboration. So, what was that? Oh, Bernie, you're awake. Come here. What's up, my little? Okay, let's pick you up. Come here. Oh, my. Out. Okay. No, that's not what you want to. Help! Help! Okay. Calm down. I like how you guys get all excited when it comes on when she fully assaults me. Okay, off you go. You wanted it out. Go. Me a millionaire? No. I've been playing the lottery for ages. I never win. One day I'm going to win the lottery. Just not today. But yeah, anyone excited for the new Diablo update? Season of the Death Awakening? No one interested in Diablo anymore? Man, tough crowd. I think the best out one was like 15 quid. So, there's been this article or this kind of interview done by this entertainment newspaper. I'll get some just to play Skull Island and Gollum. Hey man, my community has been crying for me to be playing Gollum for ages. They want me to play. Look, this is what my community wants me to play, right? They want me to play Gollum. They want me to play The Walking Dead Destinies. They want me to finish Kong, Quantum Era, I think it is. And to them, I keep saying, when I get to 10K subs, until I get to 10K subs, it ain't happening. But man, I will say this though, when I actually ran back then Gollum on my 3090 Ti, it was maxing out my card, man. That is crazy. The next two things I'm waiting for ain't was the October. So yeah, apparently Xbox is looking at pushing to a wider audience in terms of what they do. When Asher said that she's looking to be not just the best publisher, they want to be the best in entertainment. They were talking about movies and everything else as well. And, after the success of the amazing a Minecraft movie, Fallout TV series, there's a Call of Duty TV show now in production, and a Sea of Thieves has been announced as well, which seems to be... The hell? Never mind. Okay, she's gone to cool down. A Sea of Thieves one has been called out as well that they're making, which could be interesting. I kind of want to see, Jack Sparrow in there. That could actually be really fun. But they also talked about Kojima, OD, and what Xbox is looking for in their next kind of, in terms of developers, up and coming developers that can shine. They're not just looking for the tried and tested. They're looking for the next Kojima who makes games that others just simply won't or have the creative thinking to do that. And you can see here, speaking about the game without giving too much away, Kojima explained, I wanted to do something new. I wanted to do something different. I had this OD concept since I was working on Death Stranding, and I was working on it just by myself. I can't reveal much detail, but it's something that no one has ever seen before and a new game. And he's saying how he pitched this idea. Where is it? Sharma then quoted as making a relatively bold statement about the power of Xbox and the potential for the future. Xbox has not reached the boundary of games, and therefore we need to make sure our platform is sufficiently open so more creators and developers can come on board and be successful, because the next Kojima is yet to be known. Now, there was this whole thing as well about OD was actually rejected by a number of platforms Kojima explained that Phil Spencer, former CEO, was one to see the vision through the craziness, and reportedly Asher Sharma has the sage ability to see what Kojima is trying to do. Sharma went on record as describing OD as a deeply moving game that needs space to flesh itself out as another kind of game. Kojima teased an innovative system that keeps people playing even when they're too scared to continue. I'd say color me intrigued because I'm the kind of person to press pause when a jump scare shakes me in my chair. It's interesting that OD was actually rejected. I'm assuming by Sony. We know that Stadia rejected it as well. This is from the interview from Entertainment Weekly. Now, the actual interview is pretty long. And I don't like this website at all. This is where she said that Call of Duty is bigger than the Marvel Universe, which she's pushing on with. Let's see. There was a quote that I saw about OD that I'm not sure. It was somewhere. Let's see. But yeah, they're definitely moving into the movie business because they believe that there's a lot of experience there. There's no one seen as more prolific in this regard than Hideo Kojima. The Japanese creator behind the Metal Gear Solid has a different approach to adaptations. A member of the Xbox family, through a partnership on his upcoming horror experience, OD, Kojima is adapting one of his more recent projects, Death Stranding, into what he describes as a 2-hour art movie. So they're making a Death Stranding movie as well, which I didn't know about. With director Michael Sanofsky, A Quiet Place, instead of strict adaptation of the Norman Reedus-led title. For a movie adaptation, I want to try a different path, he teases. I don't know if this will be successful, but that's the goal. While the Death Stranding film isn't under the Microsoft umbrella, the company now has more than a dozen movie and TV titles of their own, various stages of development. Minecraft, which I said, you've got Fallout, which is already out. You got them talking about the Call of Duty at some point. It's interesting that they're kind of moving, spreading out more and more. You want Scythe, the dev team, to make more games? MCU has gone massively downhill, but also COD has been around for like 30 years longer than MCU. I mean, if you're just talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but Marvel's been around for donkeys, right? The characters. I'm looking forward to the Gears movie as well. Seeing Batista in there is going to be amazing as Marcus Phoenix. And, there's semi-confirmation that Dom's going to be played by Vin Diesel. Hey, Force, how's it going? Those two names already scream greatness. Who knows? We don't really know much about the movie. But yeah, you got the Modern Warfare that they're looking at Call of Duty movie. Marvel's Blade is maybe making a comeback for the movie as well, with the with the development of Blade itself. Hey man, Black John, every like 10-15 seconds you're going to see it's for family. Go on, Marcus, do it. It's for family. And they changed the synopsis of Gears again. It's now telling the origin of Delta Squad. I swear it's never going to happen. It's swapped stories like 5 quintillion times. It's a thing. I don't know. But I think they should pick a more modern one, like what the fuck was that flying? Something like Future something. The Future War, maybe. But yeah, I find it's good that Microsoft is now branching out and looking at other aspects of the entertainment industry. They've been so focused on one aspect, but they've got so many IPs now that they could make so many TV shows, right? They could make a Crash Bandicoot cartoon, animated series. They've got so much opportunities to just do what they want. I know they tried it with Halo, and that historically failed insanely badly. I don't know if they'll ever go back to trying to reboot that one. I think they should. Halo could be such a good story. And season 2, I think, was a lot better than season 1. But Fallout has been really successful. Could you imagine if they did like a whole Elder Scrolls story? How many movies that would be? But it's good that they're actually now diving into this side of it, Power Boss. Because like Sony, who hasn't put all their eggs into one basket because they know that's just not the way to do it. They've been going into the anime scene, they've been going to the movie scenes. Even if they are, I heard they were looking at getting rid of the Spider-Man movie license finally because they believe it's reached its peak return and they won't really see any more benefits from it, which is interesting. But they're always kind of dabbling in other aspects, bringing money in from more than just one source. And that's been something Microsoft hasn't done in a long time. And so, or ever really. You've seen them with a couple of movies and they've been successful. And so hopefully this will be a new beginning. Making games and releasing them at the same time as the movies is massive. You've seen how the boost for The Last of Us was done. Yeah. Huh? She must have brought it in. Get a tissue and just throw it out. So this can only be a good thing, man. How did Gran Turismo do? I have no idea. It's a movie I've wanted to watch. I've just not got around to. It'll go the same way as the MCU. They flood the market with them. It becomes oversaturated. Well, the MCU kind of overdid it, right? Because it was all kind of built in one kind of universe. These are different, right? These are just video game adaptations. I would love to see movies from different games. I don't think it would be the same. Because it's not all based on the same franchise. But I think this is a good thing. This is positive for Xbox. And Asher is definitely looking at it in a much, looking at the financials in a much better way. Looking at ways to bring in money and investment in more ways than one, which is always a positive. They will never be done, Steve. Blade. With so Todd Howard has addressed Marvel Blade, and we do have some updates on this now, but people are already saying, "Oh, well, we can't believe this anymore. He could be lying." So why do See, this is what I don't get. Why do you want an update if the first thing you're going to turn around and say is, I don't believe you? It's so weird. An update in 2025 indicating Marvel's Blade devs were super proud of the special game. Again, it didn't offer much, but now in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Todd Howard has given everyone a new update. I'm not at liberty to say when we'll see more, but I saw some stuff yesterday, and the folks at Arcane Studios, the developers, are doing a really, really great job. This doesn't sound like a studio that's being shut down to me. See, everyone was saying that Arcane Leon was being shut down. This one was always weird. That doesn't sound like a studio that's been shut down. But people are saying, well, we don't believe you. Blade, mate, you've moved on from Fable. Now you've gone to... Like, I just don't get it. Like, why ask the question if the first thing you're going to turn around and say is, I don't believe you? Hey, little one, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sorry, one sec. I just need to clean something. Sorry about that. Luna brought in a slug. Yes, a slug of all things. Just disposed of it. But yeah, so Blade seems to be doing well. Better if it went PSI. You shush, you pony steam bro Steve. No, it's because they use the Forza engine. Fable is not. So. Blade will be Steam Machine exclusive. Hey, it's not Paris. Man, after we just saw what the Steam Machine was capable of, that seems kind of painful. What? No, it should be over there. If it's not, then just leave it. I'll sort it out later. Steam Machine exclusive. How you doing, Paris? Can I be an exclusive to Steam? Rabbi, you're talking about more new game IPs? I don't think we're going to be seeing new IPs for a little bit. I think they're going to be releasing tried and tested just to bring those numbers up. That's what they're going to... I think they're looking at that. I don't think they're going to be taking any risks anytime soon. Or at least any new risks. bring you the classics. Yeah, I can see that. Marvel. I mean, what Marvel game would you like to see, Rebby? Spider-Man's taken. Venom's taken. Wolverine's taken. What would you like to see? Captain America, maybe? Say his name 3 times? No, I've seen that movie. Bad things happen when you say the name 3 times. I think this one over here sums up the whole Hideo Kojima thing. Hideo Kojima on OD, Xbox, Ashishama. I pitched to many people, to the big companies, and also to the up-and-coming companies. All of them said the same thing. They said that I'm crazy and that they really don't understand the concept, that they will not be able to do it. I wanted to go beyond the limits of the scariness that other games had reached. It's a single-player game. I wanted to make it as scary as possible. But for those that might stop playing when it gets too scary, I have thought of a system that will allow them to keep going. I think that's really interesting. So what he's saying here is that this game is so scary that people will just stop, but he's thought of a system. I mean, this is, crazy Kojima talk right here, but it's still intriguing. A game like OD tells Sharma that Xbox has not reached the boundary of games. She says, and therefore we need to make sure our platform is sufficiently open so more creators and developers can come on board and be successful, because the next Kojima is yet to be known. So if she's talking about over here that they want more developers to come on board, they want more of these, really crazy ideas that could be the next big thing. This kind of goes completely against all the rumors that are going about right now, right? Jesse, that could be interesting. Seeing Thanos from the beginning. Greg Miller can answer for himself, man. Greggy can answer for himself. Squirrel Girl does. Oh, no. What are you talking about? Oh man. But yeah, I'm really liking this approach. And what I'm also thinking about is the fact that, it's really like what's being said here contradicts the rumors that are out there right now. You're seeing Todd Howard come out and say Blade is in a really good position. It's doing well. You can't really say much on it or when we'll actually see it. So it's probably at least another year or 2 out from actually being shown. But it's still in a healthy place, which puts into question what people were saying about Arcane and Arcane Leon in general. You've got also, Asher saying, they want to find these really good creative creators that will, bring value to the Xbox brand. And so, I don't know, it just feels weird that we're seeing things being said one way and being portrayed another. I mean, it'd be crazy if it turned out that every single rumor that went out there was wrong. I mean, the Double Fine smile emoji that they put down, well, the kind of like whatever, I don't really know what that emoji is called, but it was like a smile with like a sweat coming off that, made it look like they were safe. What if They weren't in trouble to begin with. What if this has all been blown out of proportion and just it's people just wanting to just create rumors because, well, let's face it, it's a slow news week. It's been slow for a little while. So making up rumors and pushing it out there, the media is obviously going to jump on it straight away. I mean, Asher's not a developer, Rabbi. You want to see them make a new Marvel Xbox Studio? Then they're not going to do that. If they go down the start making Marvel games, they'll probably outsource it just to cut costs. The Doom dev is? Why would the Doom dev be in trouble? You do understand that id Software isn't just working on Doom. They work on everything. Everything. They work with the Unreal Engine. They support so many other studios. Like, id Software isn't going anywhere. Like, out of everything, I would be insanely shocked if that ever happened. Nah, they won't beg. id Software has, has their hands in almost all, half the projects at Microsoft at the very least. They don't just do work there, same as Coalition. They've got, they're mixing so much. So, I don't see, there's no way that those two studios are going anywhere. Bags. But yes, I know that the original was it the South of Midnight? Was it the South of Midnight news? I think that came from Grums, right? Grums was the one that actually did that one. I think it was Grums that spread that rumor, which is crazy that anyone would believe Grums of all people. I think there's an Iron Man game already coming, Rabbi. A Hulk one could work. I think Captain America could work as well. Those could work, but it just depends. They're not as iconic as like Spider-Man and Wolverine. So I don't know how much there would be, what the interest would be like with Captain America or the Hulk. It was from a find on LinkedIn. I don't know. I remember seeing something from Grums. Oh, that's it, from the ID Software one. Yeah, the ID Software did come from Grums because he said, I checked the vacancies and they don't have vacancies. That's normally a good sign for a company, by the way. Not having vacancies or still hiring, both of those can be a good thing. Oh, Grums? Grums is never going to repay anyone. That guy has literally stolen so many people's money. It's crazy how no one has sued him yet. I mean, look at this one. Just in. Microsoft is reportedly considering selling. This was from some random Value Entertainment Twitter channel that people are saying. Man, I haven't seen this guy post in donkeys. I called them getting out of consoles and also said this was the end game. Microsoft doesn't keep throwing money at failed ventures. They cut their losses and move on. I mean, then AI is a failed venture. Look no further than products like Zune, Mixer, Windows Phone. Yeah, but Xbox is still serving its purpose. I haven't seen this guy in ages. And he comes up with this because some random person that no one's ever heard of, that has no source, and his source is Trust Me Bro, is the one that's making it up. I don't know. I thought it was funny. All right, on to a bit of bad news. Lords of Fallen 2 development update. It's now set to the Q1 2027 release window. As development progresses, we have worked closely with gameplay feedback team, a dedicated group of seasoned Souls-like veterans within our launch creative team. Their valuable ongoing input, combined with the team's vision, has identified meaningful opportunities to further refine, strengthen the overall experience. By the way, why so serious? Thank you for the 2. So yeah, if you are looking forward to this releasing alongside GTA 6, it's not going to be. It's getting its own release window. You don't want bad news? Okay. What about this one? Discord is testing a new living room layout for voice channels that lets users hang out in a virtual space. Because why not? When they point fingers when they should. Oh, I've been in receipt of, a flood of them this week. Some of them telling me that I don't deserve to live. Some of them telling me, and some even worse. It's been an interesting week, I have to say. How how they thought they were all going to get me triggered. It was funny. The easiest solution is to ignore idiots like that. Have a good night, Steve. England ended 0-0. That's a shocking turn of events. That must be a British UK or UK reference. I think they were careful what they could say on Twitter. So, they had to keep it somewhat clean or they'd get their accounts banned. Stuff like that is perfectly acceptable on X. I think I must have ended up banning like 12 accounts in the last week. Not banning, blocking. In the elite power of Canada. But yeah, anyone excited for this on Discord? I know there must be some of you. So, Korean studio EVR, the team behind Madang, Two Hearts, has gone bankrupt on June 5th. The development of Madang Two Hearts has officially been discontinued. Their game was shown at last year's Xbox Showcase. This actually was one I was really looking forward to, and so was a lot of other people. It's a real shame. If you don't remember what Madang was, it was essentially this. I got a few trailers that we can check out, but it looked pretty decent. It looked like a return back to that whole tactical espionage type of game. Hey, little boo-boo, what's up? Oh, wait, you're running around my feet. You want to come up? No. And I don't know. I was really looking forward to this game. I really had high hopes that it could be good. Come here. You want to stay there? I know, Bags. I really wanted this to be successful. I really was looking forward to this. And, no one decided to step in and support them financially. What are you eating down there? I don't know, man. It just it seems to have ticked all the right boxes. It kind of had that kind of, I don't know, almost like the Division and a Splinter Cell kind of feel to it all together. I'm a little disappointed. Well, I'm very disappointed. I really wanted more success stories like this one. But you also have the other game, right? The other Dragon game that's also pretty much dead now as well. That died because apparently the person making the game made some bad statements in Japan, and so his reputation basically killed the project. It just goes to show, man, something you say on social media could come back and haunt you for the rest of your life. But this was definitely something that was cool. This is another one here showing you the type of crowd control. They release a lot of these dev diaries. If you go to their actual YouTube account, you'll see a lot of these like short 1 minute videos. Oh no, it's Alex theorizes the license agreements are about to go out of pocket. What do you mean? Oh, Jesse, she never stops, man. She is literally 24/7. She just never ever stops. I mean, this looks cool, man. Sub Ghosty. Not Scalebound, no. It was starring that. I think it starred that famous actor in there. I can't remember what it was called, but I know it had the word dragon in there. I don't think we're quite there yet, Bold. It's just so cool what they were able to achieve. This is another one inside the buildings. I don't know. It just looks so good. You're all over vampire crawlers. Looks like France has banned public drinking due to extreme heat. UK and Spain also taking precautions. Dude, the heat is bad. It's really, really bad, and it can really, really impact you. It can kill you. So I've just got like 3 fans running 24/7 on me, man. I'm good. I bought one of these little machines that you just put some water in it and blocks of ice, and it just cools you down really quickly. I mean, you can go into a pub and drink it. You can go into your garden and drink it. Walking down the street and drinking it, probably not the best idea. When they say public drinking, they mean drinking it in the streets. At least that's my understanding of it. All right, this one's a bit of a weird one. I don't know anything about this company at all. Does anyone know anything about Affil Games? Because Sony has booted them off, like their platform entirely, and they're removing all of their games, so none of them can be purchased. It's going to stay available on them, focusing now on Xbox One series consoles, Microsoft Store, and the Switch. But a lot of people don't want their games either. Does anyone know why they're hated so much? Are their games literally just built through AI or something? Get this shovelware off your storefront next, Xbox. I saw a few in here that actually did enjoy their games, but I've never heard of them. But the amount of hate they're getting is surreal. But it seems to be collective as well. It's not coming from just one fan base. They're all hating on them. I don't know if it's safe to show, so I'm gonna see if I can find their games. Okay, they've got a channel. Well, their website is terrible. I can tell you that much. It looks fine to show. So this was one of the ones that people said they liked, Bee Flowers, but it really looks like just shovelware games that I guess you can get 1,000 achievement points. I mean, I guess you're just buying these for the achievement points on their own. Take it easy, Jesse. I hope you feel better, dude. Has any media outlet mentioned Sony's business strategy on AI? No, they haven't. They haven't. And I think there was a Windows Central post about this, which got grilled, by the way. And I don't understand why. Let me show you. Windows Central. There was a post that they made. And I don't understand why they got so grilled about this. Where is it? Let me see. Maybe it was on the Windows Central. Maybe it's on the Windows Central only, not Windows Central Gaming. But the Windows Central basically said that if Xbox had done what PlayStation are doing, they would be hated, forever and ever. In fact, any mention of the word AI that Microsoft did, and they're instantly, harassed like there's no tomorrow. So why is that not the case for PlayStation? Bags. People buy those games I gotta respect this chaos, dude. No, at least you respect me, dude. That's what that's the most important thing. Guys, there's no reason to argue about, stuff. But yeah, Bags, people buy those games for the sole purpose for just achievements. Like, I've seen a bunch of them on Xbox that sell for quite cheap. They're about £10 each. And you can literally just fast forward them and you get instant you get all 1,000 achievement points in about a minute. And so people do that. And they know that there's achievement hunters out there. And for that reason, they provide that experience for them. Jesse, why would I say you're banned? I know you didn't say that, but you're good, man. People have different opinions, and people. It is going to be what it is. Bags, that is literally why those things exist. Like, that is it. That is why it exists. Like, I remember buying one of those games because it was a visual novel, and I thought, let's check it out, see what it's like. And giving it a 1 out of 10 was probably too much, right? It was probably too much. It really was that bad. The writing was bad. Everything was bad. And it's just awful. But you can get your achievement points within 1 minute. CRT wins. Man, I ain't even gonna lie. I've been looking at crit rate and crit damage for so long. I actually read that as crit. Oh my god. That's how you know you've been looking at bloody numbers too long and stats too long. Did anyone lol? Yeah, I know, Calendros. I finally got Hattori to a good place. There was a video before I finish on that Laura Freya released. I don't know, it looks like she got really upset again about Xbox or something and wanted to make a video. Has anyone seen that, or anyone want to sit for a react for that? It's not overly long. It's 7 minutes. All right, so it's this one over here.
I was there helping build the very first Xbox. In 2001, I was there helping build the very first Xbox. And I was one of the biggest skeptics on the team.
You ever want to make hardware?
No, that's one thing that we decided not to do.
The idea that Microsoft could ever create a game console was seen as a bit of a joke.
I was worried that a software company like Microsoft would always struggle with the insane.
Keep in mind that this woman was a Microsoft employee on the Xbox division. She helped build the or design the original Xbox. She did resign after she was passed up for a position that was given to Phil Spencer instead. She wanted to become, I believe, take the position of Phil, and they gave it to Phil instead. And she has been quite bitter since then. Just adding context.
Costs and risks of hardware. 25 years later, those early fears are coming back stronger than ever. With AI-driven component shortages driving prices through the roof, the hardware gamble is really showing its cracks. My thinking at the time was that Windows was already the dominant gaming platform with over 90% of PCs running it.
By 1999, 90% of computers worldwide used the Microsoft Windows operating system. They were untouchable, without comparison or viable rival.
We had the Internet Gaming Zone, which at the time was one of the biggest online gaming communities on the internet. Remember, this was when Steam didn't exist. I felt like we were abandoning the most successful gaming platform in the world.
Man, I didn't even know about Internet Gaming Zone. Did any of you know about that? Internet Gaming Zone? Man. Boy, that YouTube. Not seen this video. You already 100% agree with her. You pony. Yeah, basically she wanted the role. There was an open position and she wanted it. And she feels that she got brushed aside because she was a woman. We're just listening to what she has to say, Jesse. I'm not. I don't watch her content often, and I kind of wanted to end it on a little bit of a high, just to think, because we had some back-to-back bad news, including one I didn't show, which was Don't Nod. Tencent has removed all funding, and they're about to go out of business as well, which is a bit of a shame because I actually like Don't Nod. I like the Life is Strange games. I bought quite a few of them. And it's a shame that Tencent has said, yep, we're not funding you anymore. And their reserves will be all but out by October, November, if they don't find anything soon. So I wish them the best of luck. I hope someone picks them up. I really do like their games.
For a risky bet that we weren't ready for. At the same time, I knew I was biased because I had helped build the Internet Gaming Zone. I knew if we pivoted, it would likely die on the vine. I eventually came around and joined the team, but those early fears that a software company would struggle to master the hardware cycle, those are more relevant now than ever. And with AI-driven component shortages, the hardware gamble is becoming unsustainable. But Xbox fans, this isn't the end. Don't believe the rumors that Microsoft's going to spin off Xbox. I don't. They used to say that every year when I worked there. They're simply returning to where they've always been strongest. And that's Windows. Whenever they talk about platform, remember, it's not just hardware. It's everything. It's Windows, the cloud, DirectX, Game Pass, the games, the entire ecosystem. They're trying to go back to what they know. Hardware has always been a brutal business. It's expensive and it has razor-thin margins. When we started Xbox, we didn't have the manufacturing experience that Sony or Nintendo did.
Thick mice, keyboards, we had some speakers, we had this thing called Interactive Barney.
That's super duper.
What eventually convinced me was that we didn't.
Here's a fun fact that I don't know if you guys know. The actual original OG Xbox, they had to cut the lifespan early because it was hemorrhaging money. Like, the amount of money they were losing on the OG Xbox was insane. And Peter Moore, in his interview, said that they had to cut it short and go straight to the 360. They had to cut timelines and everything. They literally had to kill off the original OG Xbox because the amount of subsidy that they were doing to keep the price low in order to get itself in and challenge, I believe back then it was the PS2. came at such a huge cost to them. And that's why they, but when you go back to the original Xbox, it was a heavy brick, right? But it was well built, had a hard drive, it never went wrong. And it looks like with the 360, they kind of maybe cut a few corners to try and keep that cost down, unlike the original Xbox. And that came at the cost of the Red Ring of Death.
Stray too far from what we already knew. The original Xbox was literally the DirectX box, built on PC architecture with x86 chips and a modified Windows.
It was. The original codename was DirectX box. And it was built on DirectX. That's what it was originally called. And then they kind of took the Direct out and just called it Xbox.
Windows Core. So we jumped in and we pivoted everything to Xbox. I had just shipped the first Crimson Skies, and version 2 was immediately targeted for Xbox. And honestly, it felt like a better fit for the title anyway. So we temporarily stepped away from strengthening Windows gaming to compete with Sony. And that made sense in 2001. But now, the math is very different. The numbers are brutal. Xbox CEO Asha Sharma has been blunt. We're in a hardware component crisis. Storage and memory costs could be 5 times higher by holiday 2027 because AI data centers are sucking up the global supply. That completely broke the old model.
I think that, usually what happens at this point in a generation is your costs come down, right? Memory, storage, etc.
That's not working anymore. You've got to.
It's not, and she does have a point. Like anyone expecting the PS6 or the Helix to be cheap, it's not going to be cheap. There's only so much they can subsidize, and I can guarantee you they're not going to do what they did with the original Xbox, which almost sunk the division. They're not going to do that again. I think they'll subsidize some, but I don't think you're going to see crazy subsidization. I think what they're going to want to do is try and keep it as close to that 1,000. I'm talking about British currency here, not the US. I know it's going to be over $1,000 in the US, but here in the UK, I think they're going to try and keep it as close to or just under £1,000 here, which in itself is insane, right? It's insane when you think about it, especially when your PC can do everything that Helix is doing. Like, will that Helix be more powerful than, say, a 5080 graphics card? Because if you've got a PC that's pretty well built, like my one is, all I need to do is drop a 5080 in there, and it will instantly become more powerful than the Helix. And it will be roughly at the same price. It's a really, big kind of move here. The price plays such a huge, factor here. And as you've seen with the Steam machine, they're charging you like $1,200 for the top end model with 2 terabyte SSD, the controller, and you're basically getting a machine that's weaker than my kid's machine upstairs that I built for myself 7 years ago. Sorry. So it's going to be interesting to see. Take it. Have a good night. I have a 5090 XT don't exist, but good on you for the 5090. I just can't justify the price. I would love a 5090. No, I would love one, but $3,000, $2,500, I can't justify it, man. Gaming, we are streaming tomorrow. I'm probably going to be streaming. I'm torn between continuing with Final Fantasy 14 or continuing with Trails in the Sky first chapter, but we'll definitely be live tomorrow over at Twitch. And so if anyone else does want to join me over at Twitch or wants to support what I do over there or just wants to drop over and give me a quick follow so I can get to 50 followers, I would really appreciate it. We are currently at 34, so we're very close to that 50 mark. So if you want to check out some gaming, because I do indie gaming over there, I do RPGs, all sorts of things, feel free to go over to my Twitch channel where I do my gameplay streaming. I'm only doing it over at Twitch right now. So, yeah, if you want to check that out. Shameless plug. Back to the video. That one at the moment, because of unforeseen stuff, is currently just not in use. That's because of an angry fan base who basically was very upset that I was covering a particular game. They consistently reported that channel to YouTube and almost got my whole account banned, like even this account that you're watching, because it was connected to it. It is called Chaos Lounge Gaming. So if you just look for Chaos Lounge Gaming, you'll find it. But I'm in the process of decoupling it from this one now. And I'm going to be using that one for reviews only. So I'm going to try and create a reviews channel over there. So hopefully people will like that and enjoy it. But at the moment, that's kind of just left there. Your 80 series cards are perfect for gaming. The 90 series is not. It's for professional use and content creation. Yeah, I know. In fact, it was the Genshin Impact fan base, actually, believe it or not. The Genshin Impact fan base went around. They created a fake Google account. I know it's fake because I've got people that I know that were in the content creation program for Kuro Games. And they basically were unhappy that people were creating content for a game that they saw was a rival. And YouTube just said, yeah, it's legit. I even proved that it wasn't legit. And in the end, that channel also lost the YouTube partnership and everything. Like, it's gone completely downhill. I need to rebuild it from scratch, basically. It lost partnership. It almost got my whole entire account banned. So at the moment, I've decoupled it. Well, I'm in the process of decoupling it. It will be decoupled in the next 7 days. And it'll probably have a new URL. Slightly changed, but not really that big of a change. But yeah, so that's going to be a different project of mine that I'm going to be pursuing. And the gaming streams will be limited to Twitch for the time being. It's a fighting game or some kind of tournament going on most of the time. No, that's fair. I mean, you guys don't have to. I'm just saying, if you want to check, hang out on, because I stream there 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. Weekends are optional, but Monday to Friday I stream every day over at Twitch playing games. So if you want to just hang out or talk about the gaming news or stuff like that, feel free to stop by and chill out.
Exploding hardware costs. You've got Game Pass eating into full price games, and not enough big game hits are coming out to offset everything. That's why
I think that's a good point. Xbox has a lot of games coming, and they've had a lot of games come out, especially last year. They had a ton of games come out. But what they need is more games like Forza Horizon 6. They need more games to hit like Forza did. Like, can you imagine if South of Midnight, Doom, hit the same way as Forza Horizon 6 did? We would be looking at a totally different landscape right now. They need to start pushing out games that, are going to be hits. Hey, look, Brothers Grimm, you guys know that I'm all for exclusives, right? And I've been pushing exclusivity for a long time. So as you know, I'll be playing it day one on Game Pass. No, I'm just kidding. I bought the collector's edition. I'm a man of my word. I said, if they go down this route with their exclusive games, I will buy their exclusive games. I went above and beyond. I bought the Gears collector's edition. So yeah, I think that came at almost $300. But I'm a man of my word. I'm also buying Clockwork Revolution as well. I think that's what it's called. This narrative that their games are... No, it's not crap, Woodpit. It's not that... A game not being a big hit doesn't mean it's crap. But a game being a big hit and hitting those 5, 6, 7 million sales does wonders for the studio. It guarantees them funding for a second game. The studio stays healthy. You know, it just... And when a game is being talked about, word of mouth goes round. Oh, you didn't know about Forza Horizon 6? Yeah, I'm playing that right now. It's an amazing game. We can play 2 players if you want, if you buy it. Word of mouth is powerful. But when you see loads of people talking about a game compared to no one talking about a game, the one that isn't being talked about gets forgotten instantly. The one that's being talked about is there, and you get the hype, and people buy it even through the hype. So, you know, a game hitting, as she put it, I agree, is really important. Let me just put these in chat. So for those of you that are interested, I mean, I believe they are in the description anyway as well. So that's my Twitch. And this is my other YouTube account, which currently has nothing going on because I've unlisted like the majority of the videos that are there. It's probably going to have a name change as well once I rebrand it to probably something like a Chaos Lounge Reviews or something, because that's what I'm planning on doing over there. But that's the other one as well. So feel free to drop a sub or follow respectively on the channels. What about the Halo's Collector's Edition? I tried to buy that. They sold out. I even reached out to Steins for the Collector's Edition. He said he's going to see if there are any more, but he confirmed to me that there's no more coming in. So my only option for Halo now is to go to Scalperville in eBay, and I'm not paying 3 times the price for the Collector's Edition. It's a shame because I wanted that as well. I paid for the... What is it? I mean, everyone remembers that night. I paid for it, and I was like, man, I could add Halo as well, but the missus might kill me. And so I said I'd wait until the morning. I'd sleep on it and then do it. And by morning, they were all sold out. Third party is doing great. They've been delivering quite a lot. Resident Evil 9 was a massive success.
This big reset is happening.
Saros,
they
on the
need
other
to
hand,
cut
wasn't.
costs and refocus where they can act.
I mean, who do you see talking about Saros? Like, realistically, do you hear anyone talking about Saros at all? It wasn't a hit, right? Do you hear anyone? Yote sold well, and that was spoken about. You know, you saw people talking about it and whatnot for a little while. Some games will shine, some won't, but you kind of need a couple of those games to shine yearly because they show off your brand. The biggest problem Xbox has, though, is, and I don't know how they can really get around this, and I don't think they can, honestly. Their games are released on PC and console at the same time. And so that kind of creates an option to buy it on a platform that's not even in your ecosystem, i.e. Steam. So I don't really know how they can get around that, honestly. Exclusivity is one thing, but if you give people the choice in going where they want to play your game, they're not always going to choose yours. And if they go to PC and go to Steam, then you're all instantly losing money there. And if they buy their third-party games from Steam as well, you lose that 30% as well. I don't really understand what the playbook for Microsoft is. They've kind of put themselves in a bind. Hey, Diablo, welcome, dude. Yote sold more than Ghost of Tsushima, though. And they were happy. Sony were happy with Ghost of Tsushima sales. Yote has surpassed the Ghost of Tsushima sales.
Actually win. There was recent reporting that Microsoft is exploring options like a spin-off or turning Xbox into a subsidiary. Asha's in a tough position, so it makes sense to me that they're looking at every possibility. But I don't think it'll happen because it would risk weakening Windows, which is still Microsoft's biggest profit driver and crown jewel.
At least for the titles that we're talking about right now, Windows is already where the world plays, and that's a very important slogan to the company. It's very important to Asha, and it is very much a rallying point for the company.
But keep in mind that even though Windows still dominates, competition like Steam and Linux have been chipping away at that dominance over the years. Microsoft knows they can't abandon the living room even if the math doesn't work.
See, that's the point right there. That right there is the point. That's the point, right? Microsoft knows that they cannot abandon the living room because if they do, they instantly lose. And that's why you're getting another console. No one, not even... Because honestly, I think Wolverine is going to sell, right? And I know people are going to, it's going to be lauded like crazy and then forgotten about because GTA is going to outshine it if it does release. But when I saw the original trailer at State of Play for Wolverine, I actually really liked it. And then I went back and watched it again with my kid because I know he occasionally likes those sorts of games. So I sat down. And the wow factor I had during the State of Play, it wasn't there. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't there. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the game, and I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it was missing something, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, exactly, Woodpit. Exactly. And Bold Alphawood, how do you be the best console provider out there? By having the games exclusively on your platform and not giving people a choice to go anywhere else. You basically tell people, if you want to play all of these great, amazing games, buy an Xbox. But right now, you're telling them to also buy a PC. I'm not opposed to them releasing on PC, but I think there should be a window of exclusivity. Just to push the console. So those that don't want to wait a number of months to play it, they would buy the console.
That's why they're working on a way to bring the console experience to PC. You've got Project Helix and something they're calling Xbox Mode on Windows. It's a full-screen, controller-first experience that's supposed to make your PC feel more like a console. Look, I know what a lot of you are thinking because I'm thinking the same thing. A lot of people love having a dedicated box under the TV that just works. No driver conflicts, no background programs breaking your games. Windows has a reputation for being messy, and it's fair. I wrestle with my mom's Windows machine at least once a week, and I can tell you it doesn't just work. So the biggest concern with their entire plan is execution. If they don't nail the "it just works" feeling, many fans will stick with traditional consoles, and Sony has an advantage here. They were really smart. They locked in their PS5 component supplies, so they can just wait it out and maybe delay the PS6 if needed. For Xbox fans, this feels really chaotic right now, and it's going to feel that way for a while. There will be cost-cutting and layoffs. People are going to lose their jobs. And from what I'm hearing, some smaller or niche studios are in real danger. That's a tough reality for a lot of talented developers. And I'm also hearing that the cuts are going to be pretty significant. So the impact is going to be felt across all of Xbox. It's interesting to contrast this with what's happening at Bungie right now. Sony is essentially doubling down on Marathon, their new extraction shooter that hasn't performed all that well.
The dumbest decision that Sony could ever do. I still do not understand this decision. Why would you double down on Marathon and not on Destiny? Keep in mind, right, that when the new update for Destiny went live, they more than doubled the maximum concurrent users of Marathon, because they finally got content after 6 or 8, I think it was like 8 months, because Destiny had no content for 8 months. They finally got content after 8 months, and people were starving. They were rabid. They were ready to go. And the update is insanely good, by the way. It's really good. But their concurrent numbers were over double, and they've maintained over 100,000 players for about a week on Steam alone. And when you look at Marathon, it's still running around at 10,000, and you're going to drop a game that has the players, they just want content, and instead you're going to go with Marathon? Like, that doesn't make sense to me, man. Especially in this genre, like, because Cobra wanted to create chaos.
They're winding down Destiny 2 with no Destiny 3 in the works. Microsoft is taking the exact opposite approach. They're cutting their losses on niche or underperforming titles to protect the bigger platform and the bigger games. Both paths are going to be painful, but they show two very different philosophies in a tough market. Some of us questioned the heavy hardware path in 2001, but we picked that direction for a while and it worked. But the times have changed and Xbox has to evolve. The studios need to focus on nurturing the talent that they have. They need to make games that are both award-winning and financially successful.
That is the key, right? That's the key. Let me give you an example. Even though I still don't agree with 30 million, they keep saying I think it's more like 40, 45. I think it's around 40 million now, maybe somewhere around, anyway, but somewhere between 40 and 45. I think that's where they're at. But a game, was it last year? Not last year, but the year before. Balatro. No one really played much of it. No one really cared about it until it got announced at the Game of the Year Awards. Right? And then everyone went insane. Like, what is this game? And then people started playing it and getting hooked. And it, like, my social media feed was nothing but Balatro for over a week. It was just crazy. And the actual indie developer who made Balatro, even he said that his revenue went up like 500% or something stupid. 500 times, 1,000 times, whatever it was. Like, it went from him earning like peanuts to skyrocketing. But that's what media exposure does. When it's, when it gets that exposure it needs, that's where you're at. And it needs it. But what I'm saying is, if Balatro wasn't announced over at the Game Awards, it would not have had the success it has today. And that's what Microsoft need. It needs a lot more exposure into these games to just show how good their games are, but they also need to make games that people actually want to buy. You're seeing a lot of these games that come out, I can't remember what the other game was. It was on Game Pass day one, and people, like a couple of years ago, no one really was interested in it. No one wanted it. And it disappeared and the studio shut down. It was released everywhere, not just Xbox. But no one wanted it, right? Because it wasn't a game that people wanted. You need to make games that people want. And I think studios don't quite understand that. They believe that we can make whatever we want and you're going to buy it actually works. Game Pass hurts Xbox. I mean, with certain games, I would agree. But in certain games, like when you're looking at Forza Horizon 6, I don't think it hurts it at all. I just think that certain games are going to sell regardless, whether they're on Game Pass or not. Certain games are just going to sell. It's just one of those things. Whereas others that are like South of Midnight, for example, would that have sold any better if it wasn't on Game Pass? I think I would have bought it because it looked like, once they announced that they removed the stop motion, I was interested. It was the stop motion that I didn't like, and they removed that, so I was interested. So I would have bought that game, but it was in Game Pass, so I didn't. It's a one and done game, and I played it and finished it. But then there are other games like Gears, which I would buy regardless. So, it depends on the game.
That's the opportunity. That's the bet that Asha's making. And I hope it works out because I like competition. It means more choice for gamers.
Somebody taught me a long time ago a very valuable lesson, which is if you do the right things on the top line, the bottom line will follow. And what they meant by that was if you get the right strategy, if you have the right people, and if you have the right culture at your company, you'll do the right products, you'll do the right marketing, you'll do the right things logistically and in manufacturing and distribution. And if you do all those things right, the bottom line will follow.
That's a good point. It's a good point. So, I think that actually wasn't a bad video. Yeah, I think it was a good video. I think unlike her previous videos where she's been complaining about Xbox through and through, I think this one was way better. She actually had a lot of good points. I appreciate that, Bold Alpha Wolf. Maybe I might even cut it and post it online. Maybe. Marketing, something Xbox doesn't have. But brothers, look at it this way, yeah? They do have it because we've seen Forza Horizon 6, how aggressively that was marketed and how popular it became. I mean, Forza Horizon is a popular franchise anyway, but its marketing was insane. It built so much hype towards that game. They can do it. I just feel like when Microsoft looks at certain games, they say, right, this is a Game Pass filler game. We just don't care. But then if that game doesn't make the sales, you can't then turn around and say, right, I'm going to lay off a bunch of people because we didn't give you the opportunity to actually make money. You kind of have to promote a game if you want it to sell. Don't worry, Power Boss. I'll cut it and upload it. I've been doing that a lot lately. I've been just going through the streams and also just cutting out some stuff, editing and doing that because I know not everyone attends these shows, so doing that has been kind of cool. Why can't other brands use Xbox wireless tech? I think they can. It just comes at a cost, right? It comes at a cost. Is that a guy who refused retirement? Wait, who? But personally, I think Asha has the right of this. She's structuring Xbox in a way for success. And yes, it could end up being brutal. It could end up being not. But whatever she's doing, she's a numbers person. She's not a gamer. She may play dabbling games, but she's not a gamer. She's a business person. And she's looking at restructuring Xbox from a business perspective to make money. And even though there might be some, unfortunate, sacrifices along the way, let's say, for the future of Xbox, it'll be for the betterment of where where the division stands. Seeing the opposite side of that, Spider-Man 2 budget, a lot of it was marketing, almost 1/3 of the budget. Yeah, we have. I mean, you've got to be smart with how you budget, right? But I think Spider-Man has hit 15, 16 million sales now. So I think they needed 7.2 million digital sales to break even. But seeing as the Marvel contract existed, I think at the time I worked out you needed about 12 million sales overall with a mixed bag of digital and physical and bundled editions of the game. About 12 to 13 million in order to break even. So they've more than broken even, and then they've made, a handsome profit on it. But that's what you want. It is going to get expensive, Moonlight, and I hope they find a way to sort that out. Bags, I agree. If they don't actually do something to push people over to the other side, like making games Helix only, for example, if they're going to play the same way as, because don't forget, I don't believe that Helix itself is going to give the Series X any additional power or resources. I mean, it could do, but there's been no indication of that. It's just coming in a box that will run your Series X. Why upgrade? Why upgrade? For example, I've got a nice PC here, right? And I've got my Series X. The Helix is going to come as a built-in Series X and then a higher spec to play PC games as well. What's the selling factor for me? What can the Helix do that my Duo over here can't? I mean, sure, I'll save on a HDMI port. That is actually really valuable with today's TVs, believe it or not. We don't have enough slots. But where's the value? So people will stay on their current unless they start making games specifically for the next generation console, and then that will push them over to the other side. But if they continue cross-gen gaming, like they did this generation for 5 years, it's going to be a hard sell, an even harder sell. To be fair, GTA doesn't even need to advertise. The people do that for them. I believe that, Bags. I mean, unlike the PS4, for example, with Xbox One, if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, you can play all the day one games through cloud. You can use your Xbox One as a streaming box. Oh, I was talking about for someone that has a PC and an Xbox Series X with it, not for someone that hasn't got a PC. But you've got the Xbox Ally X, don't you, Woodpit? They have to get new customers in the door. If you're gaming already, a lot of the draw for you is they buy the game on the platform you're on. Right. But how does that work, Bold, if I can go to a platform, I can go to a store that isn't yours and buy the games, be it first party or third party? Like the amount of money Microsoft loses on PC from the PC point of view, or what they will lose going forward from the storefront point of view is crazy, right? Like, let me give you a scenario, and this happens quite regularly, right? let's say the Helix plays PC games, right? We assume it's going to play PC games, so let's say it will. There's a game that's play anywhere on Xbox that you can use on your Xbox or your PC, but your Helix is pretty much the same thing, right? It's $50. But then, and it's a third-party game, and you know that 30% of that revenue will go to Microsoft if you care about that. Or Steam is selling it for $30. You're not going to get your achievements. You're going to lose out on those, but you do save $20. Are you going to buy it on Xbox or the Steam store? Where are you going to buy it? You're going to buy the $50 one because you get achievements? Or are you going to buy the $30 one, save yourself $20 and put that towards another game? I mean, let's just assume in terms of PC, you're looking at something like, I don't know, you've got a 5070 Ti, which is still a very good graphics card. This is actually an insanely good graphics card. Or even a 5070. You're going to go where the money is. Look, for example, gaming showed me a link, right? I played today a game that I really enjoyed. Like, really, really enjoyed, right? It was called The Sinking City 2. It was really good. I really liked it. And so I said I'm going to go play through the first one because this was just a demo from the Steam Summer, Steam Indie Fest. I found it available as a key that I can get for £9 on Steam. Let's see how much that is on Xbox. Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see how much that is on Xbox. If it even is available on Xbox. Okay, it is available. It is £50 on Xbox. It is not Play Anywhere. But it is £9 to get it to playable on Steam. Which way are you going to go? I think that's that's their biggest problem right now. If they're focusing on PC, they're pushing people over to Steam. But you're in the ecosystem, that's what they want. But on PC, I'm in no ecosystem. What ecosystem am I in on PC? So if I buy the Sinking City, which is a third-party game, are you saying Microsoft is going to make that 30%? They're not going to make that 30%. And so all of that money, all of those third-party games, which are going to be cheaper on another storefront, because it doesn't look like Microsoft has any intention of competing with those low costs, you're basically they're losing all of that 30% revenue. Don't forget, Sony at the time openly said that the 30% that they get from games like Call of Duty and whatnot fund their first-party games. Like, you make a lot of money off that 30%. Right? I'm not saying this in a way where I'm shitting on Helix. I'm saying Microsoft has to figure this out. They got to work this out and try and find a way to make it work for them. And obviously, if they don't care about losing, hundreds of millions, if not billions, in revenue, that's fine too. But for me personally, my wallet dictates where I buy. I'm not buying the Sinking City Remastered for £50 on Xbox when I can get it for £9 on Steam. I think that could be something that they could do with Pit, but that wouldn't solve the third party problem. That would just solve the first party problem. But even then, they don't really need to do that. Yeah, but what are they getting out of it, brothers? You're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding the point I'm making. I'm saying I go into the Steam launcher on Helix, which has nothing to do with the Xbox ecosystem. I then buy the game at a much cheaper price, which Microsoft then gets no value out of. I then play the game on the Helix that doesn't connect to any of the Xbox's APIs, Xbox Live, or anything, because it doesn't need to. It's running off Steam. What is Microsoft exactly getting out of that? This is the part that I've never understood. But they're not getting any of my time because Steam is getting my time. I'm not using Xbox Live to play those games. I don't need to pay for Game Pass to play those games. I don't need to pay for anything outside of the box, right? I'm not even touching the Microsoft APIs. It's not even using my gamer tag. It's using my Steam ID. Bold Alpha Wolf. I'll ask you a question. Are you going to play the Xbox Series X version of a game or the Helix version of the game, which is basically PC? Let's say Halo 6 comes along, or Halo 7 as it would be now because Infinite exists. Would you buy the Helix version, which will run all bells and whistles, no limitations because it's PC? Or would you get the Series X version? But they don't need a Helix to do that, though, Grims, right? They've already got my my information. They're already selling it. What I'm saying is they need to find a solution for that. And the sooner they find a solution for that, the better. But I don't know how I personally don't know how they can get around it. I don't know what they can do that can actually, fix that. Has Steam even been confirmed? No. But everyone's assumption is that it's going to be there. I mean, if Microsoft makes no money, they stop making games and more studios close down or get sold off for scraps or whatever. But ultimately, Gorsty, I understand what you're saying. I care about my bank balance as well. There can be $1 trillion company, but at the end of the day, the division still needs to make money. It still needs to make profit. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm not trying to create any kind of divide here. All I'm saying is it's an interesting thought. And I think Asher right now is trying to figure that out. She's trying to work out what is the best way to go about this, because I'm sure she doesn't want to be losing all that, millions, hundreds of millions in lost 30% revenue, right? Who would want to do that, realistically? Who would want to actually lose all that money? Buy Steam? Yeah. No, that is something I hope never happens. Leave Steam independent. They're fine as they are. Asha has hard decisions to make. She knows it. I know. I just find it intriguing to see. What I want to see is where they go with it. I find, like, for me, this is all interesting, right? I know for some people it might not be, but for me to see like the different paths, it's almost like, I don't know if you guys have seen Loki, the TV series, when they were looking at the timeline and it was all kind of splitting out into chaos. It's almost like that. I can see multiple different paths of where things can go, where things can end up. I'm really eager to see where this ends up. I personally find that sort of thing fascinating, interesting. I know that could be sad, right? And, you wouldn't be wrong for thinking that. But, I just find that really interesting. Insert Hulk theme. Puny God. Xbox will release games on Xbox and Helix. So what you're saying, brothers, is they'll release it on... I mean, if they release it on Helix, are they going to release it through the Xbox PC app for Helix? Or are you talking like it will just be like the Helix? It's still going to be connected to the console side of things, but it will be the Helix version, which then gets pushed out to the Xbox PC App Store and everywhere else. If that's what you're saying, that's an option. That was one of the options I thought of. That is definitely an option that I did consider. And that way, it would not only push people to play on the console, it would force them to, as you said, right? It will keep the playtime on the Microsoft servers and the API, on their API databases and whatnot. And, they'll get all that data that they can also monetize. So, yeah, that's definitely a solution, an option. I'd say solution, but more of an option. That's what I'm saying. I always found this conversation interesting. People often get quite upset about it and often get quite heated about it. And I don't think it needs to go that far. I think, it's just a discussion. And if they're really serious about console first, then that's the direction they will go. If they're not serious about console first, then it'll be interesting to see how they go about it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if they did do that, can you imagine the crying that's going to happen on social media? Steam bros are misinformed then because Valve is promoting Steam Machine as a console experience. I mean, they say on their website it's a PC, so they're not. But it's as close to a console experience as you're going to get. You will be able to play... No, you're not going to play GTA 6 on there. That's not happening. The big question is, what is better, 70% of something or 100% of nothing? Well, in the short term, it's going to hurt them. But in the long term, at the end of the day, you're not going to change anything if you don't take a hit. And so they're going to have to take a hit. I mean, no matter which way they look at it, they're going to take a hit, right? They're taking hits with Gears being exclusive, Clockwork Revolution being exclusive, console exclusive. They're going to take hits. So it just determines how... Are they in it for the short term or are they in it for the long term? Is this strategy, that they're planning, I want to make as much money as I can right now? Or is this like another 10-year plan where they're willing to take the hits at the beginning, but over time they'll see that gradually grow? So, yeah. But that statement that you made is pretty much a typical Steam's statement, right? Steam Bro statement. I'm not, by the way, Bold, I'm not saying that any of this is the right solution. I don't think there is a right solution, right? I think if they want to, double down and go console first, then the only solution for that is putting the games first on console and then pushing it over to PC later. But, you also go back on your word to the PC community that have loved, been with you the whole time since 2016. So I'm not saying one is right or the other. I don't know the answer to this question. I don't know the solution or anything. I don't get the big bucks to actually make those decisions. That's what Asher Shah and Matt Booty and, whatever the rest of their names are paid to do. This is their decision to make. I just think it's an interesting debate. I love the different views and, thoughts that people are having and the different perspectives. I always think it's a nice discussion to have. Exactly. I mean, that's the point, brothers. But, your inputs have been appreciated. I didn't, it's a different perspective of looking at things. And then we see, Bold having thing. I think it's a thing. Just no one listen to Bags, right? No one wants to listen to Bags. Give up and get a PlayStation. Yeah, no. Perhaps the Helix version may have features the Steam version won't have. Something more than just a quick resume. I mean, I do remember people saying that the hardware should do the talking and not the software, but I don't think people buy hardware just based on features. Console is a dying market? It very well could be, but they seem to be doubling down on it. So, it can't be that much dying. But one thing I will say is if these prices continue, or these rumored prices of 1,500, 1,300, and whatever, yeah, things are going to go south real fast. You're going to see the next generation of console gaming not be very good. The sales are going to crash. I mean, just look at the PS5 Pro. After it went to $900, no one's buying it. Like no one's willing to pay that much money. Do you think people are going to be willing to pay that much money for a $1,300 or a $1,400 console? Some are saying $1,500 console. At that point, you build a PC. Ghosty. But if those games stop coming to your PC, then you might buy an inferior machine. Unless you don't care for those games. All of Microsoft games and ZeniMax games and any new IP that comes from Activision. Yeah, but Sony has like one game a year, right, that they release. Imagine having like what Microsoft does generally, around 5 to 10 games a year that are first party. I think in 24, they released like 13 or 14 games in 1 year. It's a lot of games. And if you're interested in a lot of them, it might be worth your while. Man, you guys are so wrapped up about GTA 6. I must be the only one that has zero excitement. Like, I got none, man. Like, none at all. Only Xbox Series Hybrid will play. Oh, that's what you mean, Sanchez. Right. Yeah, but the actual Helix side of it won't play. It will still be the Xbox Series X version, which you can buy on its own, right? You can buy the Series X on its own, which will be cheaper to run it. I said he's holding out. I don't use my Xbox because my PC is better. It's as simple as that. Many others will be the same. they will hurt themselves more because PC gamers won't buy the games later when the hype is dead. I mean, to be fair, they've not been buying the games anyway, so there's that too. Outside of Starfield and Forza Horizon 6, and say Forza Horizon 5, what's actually really sold? Helix backward compatibility will be the reason Helix will do well. No, man, it can be backwards compatible all it wants. At $1,500, it's going to be a hard sell. And this isn't just an Xbox problem. This is a PlayStation problem as well. You know, maybe the age of consoles is really at that point now where it's not going to move forward anymore. Maybe this generation is it, right? We just don't know. I think you'll remain seeing. I can see like the Helix 2 in the future still having the Series X built into it, mainly for the backwards compatibility feature. But you know, maybe that's the direction that Xbox is going. Yeah, they have. The Xbox One was a disaster, right? You can't, you know, there's no mistaking that. The launch of the Xbox One was, you know, catastrophic. Then they came with a series and they screwed up Halo for the launch, which didn't help at all. And then they started that stupid campaign where you don't need an Xbox to play an Xbox. And so people said, fine, I'll sell my Xbox, go buy something else, and I don't need to, and I'll play my games there. And so, you know, I think there's been a lot of damage. There's definitely been a lot of damage. Gorsty, we know that the back of that lorry is going to have a PS6 that's going to drop into your lap. I wouldn't know anything about that personally, but it's something I hear happens around that neck of woods. Did you guys hear the Helix might be 1,200? Maxime, no one knows the price, man. Everyone's just throwing numbers out there after the Steam Machine's pricing. It's all rubbish. No one knows anything. I wouldn't believe anything in regards to the pricing. The bottom line is they're in the midst right now of re-scoping Helix in terms of specs, going over everything to see where they can cut corners or where they can, you know, reduce the spec to save money. So anyone that's saying that they have a inkling on the price is straight out lying, considering the specs now are in question of being changed. I would definitely think the Helix will be cheaper. Microsoft has to subsidize it. There's no two ways about it. They have to eat some of that cost and get it back through Game Pass or whatever they're doing, through the games that they're going to sell. Even though that creates a problem in itself with the games, they can't rely on the games anymore, because if it's an open PC option, then they can't really rely on that anymore. I don't think it's messed up right now, Woodpit. I just think, you know, Hey, have a good night, Ghosty. Thanks so much for stopping by, dude. I appreciate it. I think what it is right now, Microsoft is definitely in a transition. They've got a new CEO who has a vision, has a plan, and they're in the process of working that out. You're going to hear a lot of speculation going about. You're going to hear a lot of people talking. You're going to hear a lot of Gregs making stupid statements, right? But all of that will be answered later on this year in November when they should be unveiling the Helix. A lot of those answers will be made then. She's given herself a 100 days to reset Xbox and bring it back to where she believes it needs to be. You're going to see a lot of, a lot of brutal things that potentially could be happening. But it's as Laura Freya said, it's for it's to put the business in the best possible place. So until all of that has happened and we have a clearer picture of what is what, I don't think there's much that, the speculations are going to go rife, but no one knows anything. I think once we get closer to the end of the 100 days, people will have a much better view on where they are. But until then, you're going to see a lot of rumors, and I just wouldn't pay attention to it. That's where I'm standing on this, because I just don't think it's going to be a thing. The Steam box is basically, it's like the Nintendo Switch 2. It's all technology. Imagine them selling that for 1,000 plus. I mean, I can definitely see. I think what Valve has done here with selling it without a controller, I can definitely see them doing something like that. Totally, because your Series X controllers are going to work. So I can totally see them, cutting the cost by not including a controller. You're going to get a lot of fear mongering, man. You're going to get a lot of rumors. You're going to get a lot of everything. Just, we got to wait and see where it goes. And then we'll have a much better view of what it is. But, I expected a big transition when Asha came in. The big reset, I think, is probably needed to put the business back where it needs to be. My hope is that no studios get shut down, right? Even if there are layoffs, I hope the studios don't get completely axed in the process. No one wants to see layoffs, right? No one wants to see studios close down. I know there are some out there that actually do want to see them close down, but I have no words for those people. But in the end, that's where we're at right now. Anyone here will buy the Avatar game? Banisher will buy the Avatar game. 100%, 10 out of 10. I guarantee it. I told you. I didn't even have to wait for him to type that. I just knew. Avatar Legends fighting game? Didn't even know it was a thing. Wait. You're talking about... Oh, you're talking about the other Avatar. The Windbender. Yeah, he's thinking about Avatar, the Windbender, I think it's called, or something like that. Man, if you guys could see Luna right now, God, she's adorable. The Last Airbender. Oh, it's close enough. Man, Netflix got screwed with that one, didn't they? Or was it Nickelodeon or something? They were planning to air it in September or October, and it leaked onto the internet. They lost so much money for that. They lost so much money. But folks, is there anything else you guys wanted to discuss, talk about before I call it a day here? Again, we will be live tomorrow over at Twitch. Taz, if you could post the link again in the chat, that would be great. Is Paramount to own it? Oh, and GTA apparently is going to be 90 euros, which is roughly $100. So, the people paying $100 for GTA, I will say this. If that game sells gangbusters at $100, that's going to be the new pricing going forward by every single studio out there. That's going to be the new pricing for every studio. All these companies, all these studios are waiting for 2K to reveal their GTA pricing. And if those prices are true, damn, I will never buy a game again. Game Pass for life. Banisher is a new Steve. Man, if Assassin's Creed was £150, Banisher would still buy it. Day and date. All right, then, folks. That is it going to be it for me. We did start a little late today, but we went a little longer than expected. I appreciate everyone that turned out today. Thank you for the super chat. Why so serious? I appreciate that. And hopefully I'll see a bunch of you tomorrow over at Twitch. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It wasn't so bad. I expected a bunch of PlayStation fans to jump in and heckle me a lot today. I was prepared. It didn't happen. So kudos for them not caring enough. But I am going to call it a night. And with that, thank you so much. Have a great one. Enjoy the hot weather and remain legend.